Okay, there's webinar poll launch. Okay, I just want to know how many of you guys are brand new to me, or like meaning you just started following me, or you've been following me for a long time. Just popping that in there while we let everybody pile in. And I'm gonna nerd out today, guys. I'm like, I wish I could tell you I was just here to make money. But my whole career, I've just been so fascinated with webinars. I just love talking about webinars. I don't know. I know it's like the nerdiest thing ever, but it's one of those nerdy things that makes you money, so I'll take it. I just love talking about it. It's completely changed my life. Like totally changed my life. So, oh guys, we're not going to allow any AI note takers. So Carla is going to remove any note takers because we will, we have a recording and all that. We just want to keep it in house, okay? You just hopped off the Write Like Dan challenge. I'm going to be teaching you guys some stuff that I used on that challenge to make a ton of money for Russell and for myself. Okay, so we've got 83% of you here that are followers and 17% that are new. Well, for the new people, welcome. You are in for quite a ride. Hope you like my energy. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to start in just a minute. Just to set expectations, I have a series of training that I'm going to do, and then we'll open it up for questions. Okay, so the questions will be at the end. So take notes. If you have a question, write it down, and we'll do that at the end. Sounds good? And by the way, you guys can hear me. The mic's good, all that jazz. Yes, fantastic. Oh, thanks. The guitar is actually not that nice. All my nice guitars are back in the United States. I just needed something to pluck around on. So I bought that for like, I don't know, $100 from a neighbor, just so I had something. Oh, James Malachek. Oh, what's up, brother? How are you? Yeah, when I go back to the States after the war, I'm going to grab my 1957 Les Paul Custom. I paid like a lot of money for that guitar. I miss it. Oh, come back to Gracie, Tampa South. Yeah, I will. All right, I've got all my slides up. I got some really amazing stuff to show you guys today. Really, just absolutely amazing. Okay. Bring this down here. All right, and I'm going to hit record here in a second, and we will get going.
Recording in progress.
All right, everyone, welcome to the $1 Million Webinar Workshop. Congratulations on everybody for being here. I love the comment from Zubin. Best thing I ever heard from Dan Henry. One good pitch can erase every bad financial decision you've ever made. That is true. It completely changed my life. Sales presentations, webinars, it's just this thing that flipped my life upside down from being a pizza boy to now living in Dubai and nice cars, taking care of my family. Like it's just wild how this one thing. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen now, and you guys just let me know if you can see it. Let me know if this is all good. We see it? Good to go? All right. So, as I said, welcome to the $1 Million Webinar Workshop. Now, you paid to be here, so that tells me you're serious. I'm going to treat this room a bit differently than I do on my normal webinars. I'm just going to treat you guys like serious people. No filler, no fluff. I'm not going to go into super long, drawn-out stories. I'm going to get to the meat of it because basically looking at the surveys from the people that attended, you guys are serious people, so we're going to treat you as such. So that said, I'm going to hop right into it. Most people think that a webinar is a way to promote a product. I don't believe in that. You see, you have a business, you have a product, and a webinar is one of the options to sell. That's how most people view it. But that's not how I view it at all. You see, I believe that the script is the business. The product is just something that you use to monetize the script. Now, I know that sounds a little crazy, but don't worry, it's going to make sense. So I'll give you an example. Tony Robbins built a multi-billion-dollar company off a script. $150 cassettes was a script that sells you into a $5,000 event. The $5,000 event is a script that sells you into a $10,000 event. A $10,000 event is a script that sells you into $85,000 platinum partners. Every product is just another script selling the next script. He hasn't changed the content in 30 years. Why? Because the script works. Have you ever thought about it that way? Another one, P90X. You guys remember P90X, the workout program? Oh, I'm sorry, but that's just another workout tape. Like, have you ever actually watched it? It's literally just moving around like any other tape. There's really not anything core different than any other home workout tape. What made them billions of dollars is the infomercial script. Once they landed on muscle confusion, that big idea of muscle confusion, it built the whole business. Without that script, it's just another workout tape. Another example, OxyClean. They went from $10 million to $100 million in 5 years from one script. In the late 1990s, they were a $10 million a year laundry detergent company. They hired Billy Mays. They did one infomercial. The script was their primary strategy for the next 5 years. $100 million a year from 10. The script is the business. I'm just telling you, that's how you got to think about it. Look at all the people, whether it's now, today, whether it's 5 years ago, whether it's 10 years ago, all the online people making the most money, what do they all do? They do freaking webinars. So this whole like webinars are dead thing, that's always been a lie. They've never been dead. They're literally the most effective selling tool in existence. So I personally, I'll just quickly go over how I discovered this approach to webinars. I'll be very quick. I actually got a job at the same company where Billy Mays, the guy that did the OxyClean commercial, where he got his start. It's a company that trains pitchmen. And I was selling pots and pans at grocery stores. Basically, it's an in-person webinar for an overpriced set of cookware. I was young. I looks like I was 12. I was a terrible speaker. I had no idea how to dress. And who the hell would these old people trust to talk to them? Like, old people are not going to trust me to talk to them about cooking, okay? Now, my manager, I got nervous one day, and I didn't want to even go up and do the little cooking show that we did. We would set up at like Sam's Club and Costco, and I had this cooking show to do. It was basically like a webinar, and I didn't want to do it. And he says, listen, we spent millions of dollars developing this script. Shut up and read the freaking script. And so I did, and that day I landed $15,000 in commissions. And I realized that it had nothing to do with how persuasive I was, how good looking I was, my age, or my speaking ability. When I read the script, I made money, and when I deviated from it, I didn't. End of story. It's the freaking script. Now, another example, this is something I studied. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but there was this promotion called The End of America. It was a $49 a year newsletter subscription, not a $5,000 course, not coaching. It was a newsletter by a guy named Porter Stansbury. Does any of you guys remember this? Very old promotion. He was not famous. He was not charismatic. He wasn't even on camera. He was just reading a script over some slides, and they sold 500,000 paid subscribers from a single script. Over a decade it ran, no changes to the core presentation, nothing special about the product. Everything was special was about the script. Another example, one of my webinars that did 9.2 million, it actually did over 10 million, but we had some other payments with a different processor. I can only prove 9.2, so we'll go with 9.2. It was a Facebook ads course, very saturated market. Everybody and their brother sold one. Warm audience, waiting list. I had like this whole waiting list, months of people waiting to watch this webinar, waiting for the product I was going to launch. Now, when I launched it, it converted at 48%. Now, have you ever heard of a webinar converting at 48%? No. And it was an illusion, okay? Because the only reason it converted at 48% was because people had been waiting for this offer. That's when reality slapped me in the face. I started running ads to this webinar because I had exhausted my list and the conversion rate dropped to less than 1%. Think about that. From 48% to less than 1% because people weren't warm. Just so you understand the difference between cold and warm traffic. Same webinar, same slides, same offer, same me. Now I started tweaking, hooks, bonuses, proof, blah, blah, blah. Nothing really worked. I couldn't figure out why people who didn't know me were not convinced. So I did a deep dive. And of course, what most of us do when we really want to solve a problem, we barely eat, we barely sleep. Unfortunately, I didn't go to the gym. I studied Dan Kennedy, Obama, Bush, Reagan speeches. I went beyond just the internet marketing stuff. I went hardcore. I went and bought every old copywriting book on eBay, like the ones that you can't even buy online anymore. And I realized through this research, a lot of time, a lot of money. The best presentations on the internet do not teach, they do not convince, and they don't even sell. They simply get people to agree. And this is what I call agreement engineering. This is what I discovered and what I just totally nerded out on. The script's only job is to get people to agree to a specific sequence of things. By the end, they sell themselves. You don't have to convince anyone. Same content, same idea, same offer, completely different script. When I rewrote the script using agreement engineering, it did 9.2 million on cold traffic, Facebook ads straight to a webinar registration page. Granted, webinar ads were a bit cheaper then, but there were still a lot of people who were not making money with that offer. And so this approach really changed my life, and I've been able to write another 8-figure webinar and a ton of 7-figure webinars. I've even consulted on and helped write webinars and challenges. The one that did the most money recently did 16 million over 2 challenges. A 10 million, it was let's see, they did 10, no, sorry, 26 million, my bad, 26 million. They did 10 and 16, 10 and 16. So I can't tell you who that is. If you've been following me, you probably know who it is, but I can't say it because, okay, so the course of my life went from broke Dan, accidentally smashing my dad's window, trying to pull a prank. This is me. To hungry Dan, trying to figure it out, trying to hustle. To new money Dan, this Lamborghini and this crappy little rural house in Florida because I couldn't get a big house because I had entrepreneur credit. All that from a webinar. To lesbian Dan, this is my phase where I was making a lot of money with a webinar, but for some reason I decided to cut my hair and look like a lesbian. And people still bought. People still bought even though I looked like a lesbian. Imagine that, okay? Like for any of you that think that you need to have the look, you got to have that Alex Hormozy look. Now, straight up, I looked like a lesbian and I still made money, okay? And then there was, of course, Good Son Dan. Still looked like, well, I did look a little bit less like a lesbian here, but I was still a good son. Son, not daughter. And then there was, of course, Dubai Dan, which is me now with the beard. My wife fixed a lot of this going on here. Yeah. So if I want money, I don't need another offer. I don't need another business. I just need another script. 10 million first offer, 15 million second offer, 40 million career earnings, mostly from webinars. The script is the business. That's the biggest thing I can impress upon you today. So let's do some math. What is 3 percentage points worth? So if you have 500 attendees on a 3K offer, oh yeah, not Yacht Dan. I can't. I'm like I said, I'm trying to be respectful of your guys' time. I know I actually bought a $2 million yacht cash from webinars, but I'm not going to mention that because it's not relatable. Thank you, Shantan. Thank you for messing up my presentation here, making me all non-relatable and stuff. Anyway, 500 attendees, 3K offer. Let's say you convert at 2%. That's 10 sales, $30,000 a month. If you convert at 5%, now you're at 25 sales, 75 grand a month. So this is just an example, but that's an extra $540,000 a year with the same attendees. If you can just raise it 3 percentage points. So for those of you here, and this is going to really rock your brain because I've been doing this a long time. I hear a ton of complaints about show-up rates. There are several things you can do to increase your show-up rate. But in my experience, the number one factor is the concept of the webinar itself. So people show up to things they're excited about. That's why people show up to a concert from their favorite band more often than a free lunch at a real estate seminar in their local town. The more exciting the topic of your webinar, the big idea, the title, the promise, the higher your show up rate. And the big idea is part of the script. On top of that, when your script converts at 5% instead of 2%, every attendee is worth 2.5 times more. So you can afford to pay more per registration. You can run more aggressive ads. If you fix the script, the math fixes everything else. Show up rates, CAC scaling, all downstream. Now, I'm not saying don't have show up emails, don't have SMS reminders. These are all things that you should already be doing. But in my experience, the thing that has affected show up rates the most is only two things. Number one, the topic of the webinar, and number two, whether or not you charge for it. If you charge for a webinar, you get a great show up rate. Great show up rate. Okay. Casey in the chat says, I paid Dan to write my VSL. It turned into a millionaire. It works. Thank you, Casey. Thank you. Yes, that was a while ago as well. Okay, let's keep going. Now, just to make sure for any of you that are new here and you want to make sure this is worth your time, look, I've been hired by guys like Russell Brunson and Iman Gadzhi to sell from their stages, script for them, close for them. Kennedy's company hired me to represent their brand. I do this thing. Oh, there's lesbian Dan again. They had to use my lesbian photo. Come on, man. Can't you just update it? Anyway, this is a challenge, a 3-day challenge that Russell hired me to write and perform. It makes both of us a lot of money because obviously I get a royalty from it. They still run it to this day. The first time we launched it, we sold a book, which I have the book around here somewhere, but it's basically a copywriting book from Dan Kennedy. We sold it for $2,000 and I sold $250,000 worth of that book in 3 hours. Okay. So I'm just showing you this so you understand that I work with the best, I've worked at the best, and I've been hired by the best. I even worked it when I was young. I worked with Sam Ovens for 3 years. So I'm going to be condensing a lot of stuff down into a couple hours for you guys. 2 to 3 hours we'll be here. So take notes. This is stuff that took me 13 years to learn. Just so you understand that this stuff works. I mean, Casey and one other person already gave me a great testimonial in the chat. But Ashley here, we recently wrote a webinar for her, and she, like, literally in the past couple weeks, her first run, she didn't have a lot of people on. She had some tech issues and stuff, but she closed an $8,000 deal live on the webinar, and she booked 3 more sales calls from that Monday. Okay. Lewis here, we wrote a webinar for. It's converting at 13% for a $400 offer. Bruce here is actually in an older program of ours where we didn't even write a script. We just helped with it. And he says, I've never had as much money in my bank account as I do right now. Always been a broke musician. It hasn't even been a full 2 weeks yet with my on-demand webinar. And I mean, this is a guy that sells a music course, not like a make money course. Okay. So let me explain who this is for tonight. Maybe you've been running the same webinar every week or a year and you know it should be doing better, but you can't see what to change. Maybe you're converting at 10% and you want to hit 15. You're converting at 5, you want to hit 7, 8. Maybe you're converting at 1, you want to hit 3. Or maybe you know you're teaching too much, for example, and you can't figure out what to replace it with. Or maybe you're about to build your first webinar and you want to do it right the first time. Okay. So if you've ever heard somebody say great webinar and not buy, and you couldn't figure out why, even if the content was good, or if you've watched a competitor with worse content outsell you, and that made you feel sick, I want the day to come where you open your laptop and the sales are just there because the script does its job. Okay. Here's what we're going to cover. This is what we're going to be going over now. So first, we're going to talk about the blueprint. There's an overall blueprint to how we approach this, okay? Then there's 5 structural failures that even if you try to follow the blueprint, these are like the 5 most common things that you'll mess up. And then, of course, I'm going to show you how to fix them. That's it. It's pretty simple. That's what we're going to cover. Is everybody on the same page with me so far? Also, I have a no asshole policy. Anybody who's going to be an asshole in the chat, I will refund you. I will kick you out. Guys, please keep it positive here, okay? Like, I don't tolerate that type of behavior in the chat. So one more time, you're out. I'll refund you. Have a nice day, okay? Everybody else, we're here to learn. We're here to jump in. Okay, script is the business. So let's build the map, all right? All right, so here's the blueprint. before I show you what's wrong with your script, I need to show you the blueprint. So most people, they map their webinar chronologically. How many of you here have thought, what do I say? And then what do I say next? And then what do I say after that? And then what do I say after that? How many of you guys here have like approached it that way? All right. Intro, story, teach, offer. This is fundamentally not how it should be done. Okay. The job of your script is not to teach, convince, persuade, or deliver value. It's to get agreement. As long as your audience agrees, they will buy. That's the only objective. So agreement engineering, it's not templates or any of that stuff. It's not persuasion, and it's not content delivery. So to show you the difference between these two things, chronological means you say this, then you say this, then you say this, then you say that. Psychological means we have one belief, just one, and everything rotates around that. Stories, analogies, proof, examples, emotion. It all kind of, like, don't view it as like a chronological step. View it as like a wheel with a center. And then all these spokes go towards the center. So it's less about what order, like the order is important, but it's more about what belief are we choosing and how are we getting people to come in to that belief and support it at all times. Does this make sense? Like you do not want to view it as chronological. You want to view it as psychological. Every story, stat, framework, example, it gets to the audience to one belief. So the biggest part of creating a great webinar is figuring out what that one belief is. So every high converting presentation was built around a single belief, not just a topic, not just 3 secrets, one belief. If the audience adopts that belief, buying becomes the only logical conclusion. Finding your one belief is the most important decision you'll make because the script is the business and the one belief is the foundation that entire script is built on. So here are the layers. The first one is the problem. Where your audience lives right now, the entry point to the conversation, the thing that is on their mind, like, I have this problem. Then you have the opportunity. This is what becomes possible when the problem is solved and how opportunity is created from the very act of solving the problem. And don't worry, I'm gonna give you examples of each one of these so you really understand it. Then there's the mechanism. That's your unique approach, a fundamentally different category from what they've tried. Keep in mind, you can either have a new mechanism, a new way, or a new process that they haven't tried, or you could just make it sound new. Both work. Because, in some things, you can't have a new way. You just have to make it sound new or explain it as it sounds new. Number 4 is the benefit, the specific measurable outcome, the mechanism that makes it tangible, real. And then the final one that this all converges in is the one belief they hold, the one belief they must have so that they cannot walk away. Now, layer 1, let's use some examples. I've actually went and I've got several presentations that I've studied in the past that helped me make a lot of money with webinars. And I like to refer back to these presentations because they're some of the greatest examples. So we have 3 we're going to talk about now. The Sam Ovens consulting webinar that did millions of dollars, the Tony Robbins personal power presentation, and the P90X infomercial. So for the problem, in the Sam Ovens webinar that I think they did 20-something million, you have skills, but you're stuck trading time for money with a ceiling on your income. For Tony Robbins, it was you feel stuck, you know you're capable of more, but you can't break through. For P90X, it was you work out, but your body doesn't change. You see how specific these are? Now, most webinars state the problem and just jump into the solution. And that's that chronological mapping. The problem is just the door. You need 4 more layers of agreement before they can buy. So layer 2 is the opportunity. What becomes possible? It's the upside that creates desire. So again, in the Sam Ovens webinar, start a consulting business. High value clients, your own rates, no boss, no ceiling, $30,000 to $100,000 a month. In Tony Robbins, it was every area of your life transforms, relationships, health, career, finances. In P90X, you don't just look different, you feel different, people treat you differently. They really focused heavily on people treat you differently when you walk into a room, et cetera, right? A lot of times we do not focus so much on the payoff, we focus on the process, like how we're going to solve the problem, and we don't spend enough time talking about what it's like, what life is like when the problem is solved. And so this is where they go from, yeah, I have that problem to, I need to solve this. Most scripts either skip this entirely or they rush it in one sentence. Layer 3 is the mechanism, the vehicle, the fundamentally different thing from what they've tried. So in Sam Ovens' webinar, it was the consulting blueprint. Package expertise, acquire clients who pay at ads, deliver without trading hours. In Tony Robbins, it was neuro-associative conditioning, reprogramming at the identity level, not behavior, which sometimes he calls it state control. P90X was muscle confusion. One of the greatest mechanisms to ever, I mean, guys, think about this. You go to the gym and you do the same workout and your muscles don't grow because they get used to the workout. You got to confuse the muscle. And if you can do that, you'll grow muscles. Well, our workout tape is designed to constantly confuse your muscle. One of the greatest big ideas and unique mechanisms ever written. I think it's a bit of bullshit, but it's still one of the greatest pitches ever written. So this is like the most important part of your script. Layer 4 is the benefit, the concrete outcome. So for Sam Ovens, it was 0 to 10K months. For Tony Robbins, in 30 days, 30 minutes a day, you'll have more energy, clarity, and emotional control. P90X, in 90 days, you'll be completely transformed. So the mechanism is the concept. The benefit is proof the concept delivers. Without the benefit, the mechanism is a theory. With it, it's a promise. And number 5, the most important, the one belief. In Sam Ovens, anyone with expertise can build a $10,000 a month consulting business with the right system. So if you believe it, you need this system. Tony Robbins, your psychology controls everything. Change it and your whole life transforms. Really good one belief. P90X, your body adapted to your routine. Muscle confusion is the only way to force change. Probably the best unique mechanism, or the best big belief I've ever seen. Like the P90, guys, if you ever have an opportunity to watch the P90X infomercial, you got to watch it. It's it's a copywriting masterpiece. So here's a test you can do. If someone can hold your one belief and still not buy without it being that they just simply don't have the money, well, you've got the wrong belief. So the test is binary. Can they believe it and walk away? If yes, it's the wrong belief. If they can hold the belief and logically can conclude, I don't need to buy, then it's a supporting idea. It's not the one belief. This is the single greatest shift you can make in any of your sales presentations, really even in your brand. So stop asking what goes on slide 1 and start asking, what does my audience need to agree with before they can buy? Then engineer every piece of the script to serve that agreement. Every story reinforces it. Every example proves it. Every objection protects it. The open plants it. The middle builds it. The close converts it. That's agreement engineering. So one quick nuance. Eric was actually in the infomercial as the first P90X success story. Well, that's interesting. Wow, that's so cool. So the sophistication spectrum. The rule I always say is try to never teach how. And I'm going to cover what to teach if you're not going to teach how. But here's the thing. How many of you guys have struggled with like not teaching so much on your webinar? Just say me if this is something that you've dealt with in the past. Yeah, ton of me's, obviously, right? So I'm going to show you how to teach without teaching how. That's coming. But just a quick note, there is this thing called the sophistication spectrum. A beginner audience, if you teach the how, you're screwed because they're going to go try it themselves. They're going to fail without your support. And you literally just gave them enough rope to hang themselves. And the hidden cost there is that when beginners are taught the how and fail, they don't just not buy, they go online and leave negative reviews, they post complaints, they warn others, and they think your method doesn't work. And it poisons your brand for years. It's not just about lost sales, it's about long-term brand damage. So that's why you shouldn't teach the how, because you already know without guidance, without support, they're not going to be able to get results with it. So why the hell would you teach it? Now with a sophisticated audience, it's a little bit different. If you accidentally teach some how, they will see the complexity and they will say to themselves, it's far better use of my time to hire somebody who already knows this. Why is that? Because A sophisticated buyer already knows that. That's why they're sophisticated. That's why they're more successful. They're obviously going to say, well, I'm the best at what I do. I'm not going to waste my time with this. It makes way more sense to hire this person to help me with it or do it for me. A beginner is a beginner and they're broke because they don't know that. They just think that they're going to go do it themselves and everything's going to do them. That's why they're a beginner. That's a beginner mindset. Imagine me doing customer service myself, doing all the things in my business myself. It would be stupid. It would just be dumb. Like nobody at my level or even half of my level would ever do that because it's just idiotic. But when I was a beginner, I didn't know that. I would go and watch stuff and I would try to implement it and I would fail, okay? Unless it was my bread and butter. And for me, this is my bread and butter, like presenting, but all the other stuff in my business, I don't like. If somebody proves to me that they can help me, I just pay them. So just a nuance. So the principle never changes. Don't satisfy the need your offer exists to fill. If you teach too much, then you're going to do that. Beginners, they'll take your how and try to do it themselves. So hold it back. Let the content gap do the work, and I'll cover how to create a gap in a minute. Sophisticated audiences, they understand the value of time. They see the how, and they think, I should pay someone to do this for me. Either way, the script is doing the work. Not your charisma, not your energy, the script. So another thing I caution people about, some people will say to me, Dan, I don't need a new script. I just need you or somebody to look at mine. And I've heard this probably more than any other objection when it comes to webinars. And I have to be straight with you because anything less would be a disservice. If you've put in the work, you've recorded, you got traffic running, the last thing you want to hear is, oh, I need to start over. I need to make a new script. But every time someone over the last decade has come to me and said that, the answer is the same. It needs to be rewritten. Because look, if you come up with a new big idea, well, then you need a new script to support that big idea. And the single biggest thing that's going to make your script convert better is a new big idea. So you need a new script. Almost everybody needs a new script. You want it to convert better, you need a new script. You're not going to change one line and it's going to increase your conversion rate 2%. I wish that worked. It doesn't. So let me see. So I'll give you an example. Proof from my own webinar. Remember how I told you guys that I had a webinar, it converted at 48% to my warm audience, then it tanked on cold ads, then I changed it, then it did 9.2 million with cold. You guys remember that? I'll show you what I changed. So in the original, and by the way, it was selling a Facebook ads course. Okay, everybody clear? I was selling like how to start a Facebook ad agency. Are you guys with me on that? That was the offer. It was a $1,000 course. Everybody clear on that? Just say me if you're clear on that. Just for context. Okay, got it. All right. In version 1, my big idea was high ticket clients via native lead gen. Okay, so basically I was saying like, look, anybody can do this because you can run native lead ads. You don't need a funnel, and the lead ads can go right to the doctor, the lawyer, whoever you're running ads for. Like it was kind of complicated, especially for a beginner. It did not perform. However, version 2, the big idea was become a modern day Don Draper. Same offer, same product, same me, but my whole webinar, I mean, look at this slide. This is a $10 million slide, okay? I'm just gonna zoom in on this and show you. Let me see. All right, so here's how I explained it. Anybody can start a profitable Facebook ad agency by becoming a modern day Don Draper. Now, what does that mean? I swear to God, this is how I pitched it. It sounds really dumb to you guys probably because you're more sophisticated, but this converted. I swear to God. I explained it like this. I said, Don Draper is an ad executive. Now, look, most of you have come here because you want to make money online, but you don't want to own your own product and you don't want to have an audience because you don't have an audience, right? So take Don Draper from Mad Men. He made a lot of money. He did not have a product and he did not have an audience. Why? Because if Don Draper was hired by Doritos to create a commercial, well, Doritos has the product. They make potato chips. Doritos will pay Don Draper to write a commercial. They will also pay ABC to show that commercial. See, ABC has the audience. They're a TV station. Doritos has the product. But neither Doritos nor ABC cares to write ads. So when Don Draper writes an ad, he does not have to own a product. He does not have to have an audience, yet he gets paid a lot of money. How would you guys like to be a modern day Don Draper? I swear to you, that was the entire Carla, do you remember that? That was the entire premise of the webinar.
I do.
It's so simple. And it did $9.2 million. Guys, tell me, like, just look at these two versions. Do you get it? Are you starting to get it now? Like, it wasn't a slide. It wasn't a headline. It was the entire big idea that made the difference. Are you guys following me? I'm going to keep going, but I just want to make sure everybody's following me on the biggest shift that you can make in your webinars. What did I call the course? The course was called 30-Day Agency. An earlier version of it was called Facebook or Funnels and Ads for Entrepreneurs. Okay? All right. So give you an example. Before James Cameron, 14 films were made about the Titanic. Same ship, same iceberg, same ending. Do you remember any of them? They all failed. They were all box office bombs. Then James Cameron and unknown at the time Leonardo DiCaprio, they used a different script. Same ship, same iceberg, same ending. And it became one of the most popular movies in history. Okay? So I just want to caution you guys. It's not about tweaking one slide. It's not about me or someone just looking at your script. The question is, where is your Don Draper? What you actually need is to find the Don Draper, the new big idea, the new unique mechanism that turns your webinar into the version people actually buy from. So I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to give you some training on how to do that. So here are the 5 structural failures that you need to understand and how to turn them around to properly execute agreement engineering and create banger webinars. All right. So number 1 is the content matrix. This is how to, instead of teaching, engineer agreement. Number 2 is the agreement ladder. There are 9 agreements that need to be made intentionally in a webinar. People need to say, I agree with 9 things. Most scripts that I see, they skip 7, at least 7. There's then the emotional scorecard. So we not only need to get people to agree to things logically, but we need to get them to agree to things emotionally. Then there is the close architecture. Okay, even if you've got everybody to agree, you can't screw it up in the close. So I'm going to cover that as well, and then I'm going to cover, in my opinion, what is the most important thing: the repetition engine. Because once you figure out your big idea, your agreements and all this, it needs to be repeated at least 21 times. How many of you guys, real quick in the chat, how many of you guys wrote down a single phrase and made sure it appeared in your webinar 21 times? Like, has anybody ever done that? Because this is what the best webinar people in the world do, okay? Okay, so far, we're gonna hop into the first failure point, all right? But so far, do you guys see what goes into a good webinar script? Like, do you guys see this is not about, oh, let's just do 3 secrets and blah, 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 blah. No, okay? I've made 40 million from webinars. It takes this level of complexity. I'm sorry, it just does. And the only reason I've made so much with it is because I nerd out on it. Most people, they're just like, I don't want to learn this stuff, okay? Are you guys ready? We're going to hop into the nitty gritty now. Are you guys ready? And by the way, have you at least learned something so far about the backbone, the skeleton of these webinars? Yes? Okay. And this is not too advanced for you guys. Like, you guys are understanding it. I just want to make sure everybody's getting this. Yes? Yes? Good, good, good. Okay, let me get a drink of water. All right, awesome. Okay, so Every failure is an agreement failure. If you're teaching too much, you're satisfying a need instead of engineering agreement. If you skip steps on the agreement ladder, you're asking them to agree with a conclusion without building the chain. If your emotional score in your webinar is flat, then they agree intellectually but feel nothing, so they don't act. Weak close, you got the agreement, but then you abandon them at the moment of decision. And if you don't repeat the big idea, the agreement was stated once and buried, so they forget it. So 5 failures, 5 ways your scripts fails to engineer agreement. You fix all 5, the agreement lands, the sale is made. The script is the business, guys. It is. Tony Robbins, OxyClean, even Steve Jobs, they're all in the script business. They're all in the presentation business because that's how they all, Elon Musk, presentations for Tesla, all of these winning companies have great presentations, okay? So let's start with failure number 1. You're teaching too much. The hardest failure to hear because it goes against everything you believe about what makes a webinar good. The more valuable your content is, the less your webinar converts. Teaching satisfied the needs your offer exists to fill. When they feel leaving educated, they don't need you anymore. You just did your job for free. That's the teacher brain. You want to know what the villain in our story is? The teacher brain. That brain that goes, oh, I got to teach to give value. That's the true villain. It's within ourselves. And many times my teacher brain has taken over and just screwed me out of money. The teacher brain is the opposite of agreement engineering. So one quick note about VSLs. Anybody here run VSLs? Your VSL, think about this. This is a way to think about it. Your VSL does not teach. Most VSLs do not teach, right? You just get them to book a call. It agitates, it reveals, it creates desire. But the second you think, oh, I got to do a webinar, well, now your teacher brain kicks in and say, hey, let's abandon what worked over here and let's start teaching stuff. And that instinct will destroy your conversion rate, okay? So I use that example because you already know not to teach in your VSL, but all of a sudden now you want to teach in your webinar. You see how dumb that is? Like, trust me, I've Casey says teachers report. Okay, so here's how you fix this. The content matrix, a new way of presenting. When you teach anybody anything, whether it's on a webinar or your kids or anything, you can only teach in one of 4 ways. You can teach them what to do by naming the steps, giving them an overview of a system. You can teach why to do it, why it matters. You can teach when to do it, the timing. And then finally, you can teach how to do it, but you never ever want to do that. Not in your free content, not in your presentations. You want them to know what to do. You want them to understand why. You want them to know when, but you don't want them to know how. You see, that creates a gap. That gap is where your offer lives. This is why I say the script is the business. Because if you teach them what to do, oh, I know what to do now. You teach them why to do, oh, now I know why it works, why this is going to work for me. If you teach them when to do it, oh, now I need to do it now. Here's reasons I need to do it now. But you don't teach them the how in their mind, that creates a natural question of, but how do I do that? How do I get help with that? Oh, well, I just happen to have an offer to help you do it or do it for you. This is how it works. So most of you are running a seminar. You let your people feel satisfied. Gives them everything. They leave full. But a selling presentation gives them clarity. But they leave wanting more. They leave hungry. You want them to be hungry. So 4 examples from 4 industries I'll give you. So these are some of the highest converting presentations in history, and they follow this exact filter. So number 1, Sam Ovens, consulting.com. Well, don't worry, Max. I'm going to teach you some how because this is a paid webinar and you guys are a more sophisticated audience. So you're going to learn some how today. I believe, have you learned some how so far? Okay. This one's really good. Pay close attention to these examples. So Sam Ovens, consulting.com, $2,000 offer price, 2 to 3 hour webinar length. Actually, I think it was over 3 hours. 20 million in revenue. Now, every guru says keep it under 60 minutes. Sam ignored all of that, and his webinar ran for upwards of 3 hours, and it converted like crazy. So here's how he did it. Here's your how, Max. What? Consulting as a business model, the opportunity, the market size, why it's simpler than e-commerce, SaaS, or agencies. Why? Why consulting is superior. Start with nothing, no product, no inventory, no tech, just knowledge and a phone. When the industry is booming right now, market conditions, stage of life, this is the moment, but zero how. Not how to get clients, not how to run calls, not how to deliver, not how to price, none of it. Do you guys see this? Like, I don't know if any of you have watched the Sam Ovens webinar, but do you see now? Do you see how this fit into what, why, and when, and never how? Give me a yes in the chat if you're following me. It's a bit, if you haven't seen this webinar, it's, okay, next. Sorry, he wasn't teaching for 3 hours. He was engineering agreement for 3 hours. Every minute moved them closer to one conclusion. Consulting is the path and Sam is the guide. The how is the $2,000 program. The script is the business. Number 2, Tony Robbins, personal power, $150 offer price, 30-minute infomercial, $100 million in revenue. A 30-minute TV spot for $150 cassette tape ran for years. His entire billion-dollar empire started with this one selling presentation. Okay, let's break it down. And is this big enough for you guys? Want me to make it bigger? Okay. What personal power is? What's keeping you stuck? What transformation looks like on the other side? Why? Why willpower doesn't alone work. Your psychology is the bottleneck, not circumstances, resources, or education. When? The breaking point. He created the moment right there, made you feel it while watching. How? 0. No NLP, no specific rituals, no pattern interrupts, no step-by-step methodology. Do you guys see? Another, people bought by the millions. I have another example. People bought by the millions, but not because he taught them, because he showed them exactly what was wrong and made them feel it in their gut. The only way to fix it was the $150 program. He didn't teach, he engineered agreement. Stansberry, The End of America. This was that financial newsletter that ran for so long. It was a 1-hour video, 500,000 paid subscribers at $49 a year. Now, just in case there's any of you that are bad at math, because I'm bad at math, so I'm going to use a calculator. 500,000 times $49 a year. That's $24,500,000 a year. That's nuts. It's nuts. So here's how he did it. What's happening to the U.S. economy? National debt, historical collapses, Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Argentina. These were all things that were going on at the time. Why? Why the debt is unsustainable. Printing money makes it worse. Advisors are part of the system. Media won't tell you. When? He picked a date. By this date, the dollar loses reserve currency status. Specific, urgent, and terrifying. What's interesting is they kept refreshing this presentation every couple years, and they just used a new world event, and they just plugged it right into this format, and it kept converting. Is that not nuts? Like, 0 how. Not which investments, not what to buy, not what to sell, not how to position your money. $49 newsletter. The architecture converted, not the personality. Not charisma, no energy, no personal brand, just a properly engineered script that made you terrified enough to subscribe. Because the script is the business, okay? AT in the chat says, the shift is the paradigm. I'm ready to become a professional agreement engineer. That's dope. All right, let's go. All right, so now here's my example. My webinar for my 30-day agency offer, $997 offer price, 90-minute webinar, 9.2 million in revenue. Here's how I did it. What? Become a modern day Don Draper, a new opportunity starting your own advertising agency with one click. Why? Business are desperate for Facebook ad help. Demand's exploding, supply is tiny, better than freelancing, e-com, or SaaS. When? Right now on this webinar. So I engineered the when really well on this. What I did was I said, I want everybody to go on their Facebook right now, and I want you to post I want you to post this script. I want you to say, I'm learning Facebook ads from Dan Henry. I'm very confident, but I want to get my first client. I'll run your ads for free for a month. And if it works, give me a testimonial. If not, no hard feelings. Post it now. So I got everybody to post it on the webinar. Then at the end of the webinar, I said, by the way, guys, if anybody here got anybody interested, any potential clients, just say it in the chat. So as I'm going through the webinar, people are like, oh, I got a client. Somebody reached out. Somebody commented. And I just kept saying it on the webinar. And then when I went to the close, I said, guys, you see people are ready right now to pay you for your services. You do a good job, they're going to pay. And then you got case studies, you get more. Like, the time is now. So what I did in this webinar was I actually engineered. Yeah, I know Russell did it. I got a voice message from him telling me that he used my Curious Student clothes on the One Comic Club challenge, and it converted better than any presentation he'd ever done. This is why Russell hires me for closes and pitching. He's hired me twice. Okay. Zero how. Not one tutorial, not one freaking ad manager thing. Like I showed examples, but I never showed how to do anything. So when I used that Curious Student script little trick, someone just said yes to them on the webinar in real time. The opportunity wasn't theoretical anymore. A real person right now wanted them to do this. So that's how I engineered the when. That's a bit of an advanced tactic. I've had other webinars where I didn't do that and they still made millions of dollars. But that one was special. Okay, so here's the pattern. Sam Ovens, 20 million. Tony Robbins, 100 million. Stansbury, 500 subs at 25 million a year. My offer, my little old offer, just me with my laptop, 9.2 million. Different products, different prices, different audience. All four followed the same filter. What, why, when, never, how. The script is the business, not the content, not the offer, not the ads, not even you, the damn script. Okay? Are you guys getting this? Are you guys learning some stuff here? Like, do you feel like, let me ask you this. Do you feel like you learned some how? Do you feel like you learned some how? Yes? Are you sure? Are you sure? I don't think you're sure because I just did it to you. I taught you what the content, this is an example. I'm just doing this as an example. I taught you what the content matrix is. I taught you why it worked by showing you 4 examples. I taught you when every time you build a selling presentation, but I never show you how to apply it to your webinar. That right there is about as how as you're going to get. A real example. I just literally did it. Do you guys see? Like I never showed you how, but it felt like I showed you how. Do you see? Do you understand? Inception. Guys, I'm not telling you to make your clients feel like you're not teaching them how. I'm telling you, here's how to teach in a way that does not teach them how, but makes them feel like you did and still leaves that question at the end of, oh man, I need help. I need to buy this offer. Guys, tell me that you get this. Are you getting your money's worth so far? Okay. I'm really trying to deliver for you guys on this. This is 13 years of stuff packed into 2-3 hours. It's not easy. Okay. All right. So you've been running a seminar. Every minute of how that you've been giving away is a minute that's been killing your conversion rate. Your webinar wasn't broken. The content was great, but it was built to teach, not to engineer agreement. So coming up next, removing the how leaves a gap. If you don't fill that gap with the right thing, you just have a short or bad webinar. You need to fill it with agreement engineering, a specific sequence of agreements that lead your audience to sell themselves. That is failure 2. I'm going to take a quick drink of water and then we're going to move to failure 2. Okay. All right. And I'm going to blow it up here so you guys can see it. AT says, this is definitely worth at least 10 times the price of admission. Gosh, I hope my team is screenshotting all of these amazing comments. Thank you guys. I love you so much. Seriously. One of the biggest reasons I do this is because I just love knowing that I'm helping improve people's skills that make them more money. Because you know the government ain't going to take care of you. They're going to waste it all. You know the IRS is going to try to take half of it from you. So you got to be extra good at this stuff to fight back against the unfair structure that people try to say, oh, we have opportunity. But I've always viewed, as an American, I've always viewed myself as a human battery. They say you can make money, and then they put a thing in your mouth and put you in a big gel tub, and they siphon off of you, and then they go waste the money. So I like to figure out ways to make as much money as possible and take care of my family without doing as much as I can to not pay those people. Okay. Shout out to me from the Middle East. Well, I live in the Middle East. Dubai. So thank you. All right. Okay, so failure point number 2, you skip the agreement ladder. Let's say you remove the teaching. Now, what goes in its place? This is the answer, and it's the core of agreement engineering, okay? So I need to think about it is not an objection. It's a symptom. It means your script skipped steps in the agreement sequence. Their brain is trying to fill those gaps that your script left empty. So you're making, like, the customer's trying to fill them, and you didn't fill them in the script. So here's the agreement ladder. All 9 steps. Here it is. This problem is serious enough to solve right now. So just quick context. At the end of your presentation, in their minds, they need to agree with all of these things. Tell me real quick, I'm going to go through these. You tell me yes or no if you've consciously tried to script it where they agree with all 9 things. Number 1, this problem is serious enough to solve right now. Number 2, what I've been doing can't work and it won't work. Number 3, the reason is something I didn't know about. Number 4, this person understands me better than I understand myself. Number 5, there is a solution and it's fundamentally different than anything else I've tried or know about. Number 6, this specific solution is proven and it works. Number 7, I can see myself, not just others, but myself succeeding. Number 8, the cost of not doing this is greater than the cost of doing it. That's a big one. And number 9, obviously the most important one, I need to act now, not later. You guys clear on this? I'm going to go into each one of these, okay? So most webinars hit 2 to 3 out of 9. So imagine you try to climb up a ladder, a 9-step ladder, and you only use 2 or 3 steps. You're going to flip and flap and fall and break your neck, which in the webinar world means you're not going to make any money. Okay? So let me show you how all 9 steps using presentations you already know about, so you can see how the best in the world engineer each agreement. Remember, the script is the business. This is what the script is actually doing. Number 1, the problem is serious enough to solve right now. In Tony Robbins' Personal Power, he said, you're not just stuck. Every day you stay stuck, you're reinforcing the patterns that keep you there. It's not neutral, it's getting worse. Oh, so good. So good. Think about that. It's like, dude, like, if you don't fix this, you're just making it harder to fix. He doesn't say some people feel stuck. He makes it urgent and personal. The problem isn't just real, it's compounding. So the agreement is, I can't keep doing nothing. Doing nothing is a decision, and it's the wrong one. You guys follow me on this one? Did you get this example? Holler at me, say yes if you got this example. Because I got 8 more of them. I want to make sure that you're yes? Okay, good. Number 2, what I've been doing can't work. So in Sam Ovens' thing, he said, freelancing has a ceiling. You will always trade time for money. The model itself is broken, and it doesn't matter how good you get at it. He doesn't say freelancing is bad. He shows the structural ceiling. Even if you do it perfectly, the model can't get you where you want to go. The agreement is, the old path doesn't lead to where I want to go. I need a fundamentally different model. Step 3 of the agreement ladder. The reason is something I didn't know about. This is a huge one. So in P90X, the greatest example, I'm going to say that a million times. This is how much I nerd out on this stuff. By the way, does anybody here nerd out on this as much as me, or you guys think I'm a total nerd right now? Rich nerd, but total nerd, because this is like very interesting to me. I don't know if it's interesting to you guys. In P90X, muscle confusion. Your body adapted to your routine. This is why nothing changes. It's not that you're lazy, it's that your muscles stopped responding because they already know what's coming. Okay? Like, I don't agree with this because I've done the same workout, and as long as I'm using progressive overload, I build muscle. But to a degree, it's true. But the way it sounds is just like, man, you know? This is the hidden cause. They thought the problem was discipline. The real problem is a mechanism they didn't know about. This lets them off the hook and creates curiosity. Okay? The agreement. It wasn't my fault. There's a reason I didn't know. And now that I know it, I need a solution that addresses it. Like, you guys see this stuff? All right. Eric, I would argue that the reason P90X worked for most people is because most people that bought it weren't working out. It got them to work out. But I could be wrong. Who cares? We're here to learn webinars, not discuss fitness, but that's just my opinion. But I'm still think it's one of the best scripts ever written. Okay, step 4. This person understands me better than I understand myself. Tony Robbins, Personal Power, he tells the story of being broke, sleeping in his car, washing dishes in his bathtub. He was exactly where you are and he found the way out. And the way he described it resonated with a lot of people. This isn't just credibility, it's identity connection. He's been where I am. He felt what I feel. He's not talking at me, he's talking from my experience. This is why I use a little thing called the scary bridge script in a lot of my webinars. I kind of did it at the beginning of today's presentation. I talked about how I had a webinar, it worked, but then it stopped working because I tried to sell to cold traffic. And then I figured out, oh my gosh, I was trying to teach and impress my audience instead of engineer agreement. Once I engineered agreement, I figured that out. Boom, I had a winning script. Okay, a before, a middle, and an after. So you see like how that's not going to resonate with somebody who's like brand new, never had an offer before. It's going to resonate with a more sophisticated audience, which is you guys. Okay, so the agreement is this person gets it. I trust them. They're not just an expert. They're my person. Number 5. There is a solution and it's fundamentally different. Sam Ovens. Consulting isn't another job. It's a completely different business model. You package your expertise, acquire clients through paid ads, and deliver results without trading hours. Keyword, fundamentally different. Not better freelancing, not improved version of what failed, a new category entirely. The agreement is there isn't another version of what failed. This is something I haven't tried, and it could actually work. Number 6, this specific solution is proven. So in P90X, they had the before and after wall, hundreds of transformation photos, different ages, different body types, different starting points. The wall itself is the proof. Not one testimonial, a flood of them. The agreement was it isn't theoretical, real people with real result, it actually works. And I'm going to show you guys a little trick to, like, for those of you who say, well, I've got some testimonials, but I don't have a lot. I'm going to show you guys a really cool trick that it'll blow you up. Actually, I'm going to show you 2 tricks. Can you bring that VIP box in? Okay, I'm going to show you guys a couple extra tricks. All right, number 7. I can see myself succeeding with this. Again, in Sam Ovens, he talked about a plumber who became a consultant, a teacher who hit 30K, a guy with 0 tech skills. So he made sure to include testimonials from a variety of different people. And it got the agreement, like, this is not just for experts or special people. Someone in my situation can do this, and I can too. Step 8, the cost of doing this is, the cost of not doing this is bigger. So in Stanberry's End of America, he said, if you don't protect your money, here's exactly what happens. Here are the countries where it already happened. Germany, Zimbabwe, Argentina, your savings gone. So he doesn't sell the newsletter, he sells the cost of not having it. The $49 is nothing compared to losing your retirement. The fear of inaction exceeds the fear of action. If you can make the fear of inaction exceed the fear of action, you're in a great place. And the agreement is, I can't afford to not do this. The price of doing nothing is way higher than the price of the offer. And finally, number 9, I need to act now, not later. Now, in Tony Robbins, he said, every day you wait, you're older, more stuck, with less energy to change. The compound cost of inaction isn't linear, it's exponential. Your best years are right now. Thank you, baby. I got a little treat for you guys. I'll show you. Step 8 is I need to do this. Step 9 is I need to do this today. The agreement is not next week, not next month, now, because waiting makes it worse. Okay. So Max says, I think my webinar lacks most of these. Well, yeah, that's why, most webinars do, man. Like, this is high level stuff. Like, I mean, you learn this stuff. I mean, this is how people make millions online. This is the level it takes. Okay. So here's a little tool that I use personally. I call them agreement analogies. It's a short comparison or a thought experiment that gets someone to agree with a premise by connecting it to something they already believe. So it's faster than logic, and it's more memorable than data. It bypasses the rational brain and lands directly on the agreement. I would say that every step of the ladder needs to have at least one. I like to have 9 custom agreement analogies, if at all possible, or at least ones that cover multiple agreements. Okay. So I'll give you some examples. One of the best agreement analogies that I ever heard was from a guy named Ben Feldman, who was the best-selling life insurance agent ever. By 1979, he had sold more life insurance than anyone else in history. And he didn't even have a big Manhattan office. He like literally worked out of a small Ohio office. And what he would do is he would just meet people in elevators and he would say, if you had a money printing machine in your basement, one that printed real legal money every day, would you insure it? And they would say yes. And he would say, well, aren't you that money printing machine for your family? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I guess so. And he sold more life insurance than anyone with that one agreement analogy. An agreement analogy I've used it multiple times. The Write Like Dan challenge. If you guys have ever watched it, it's a copywriting seminar. I opened with this analogy. And I said like this, I said, if you were walking down the street and you saw 2 lemonade stands, and the lemonade stand on the left said freshly squeezed lemonade, and the lemonade stand on the right said yellow water with sugar, which one do you buy? And everybody goes, the one on the left, the freshly squeezed lemonade. And I said, but why do you buy that instead of the yellow sugar with water? It's the same product. And they go, yeah, but it sounded better. I said, exactly. People don't buy good products. They buy products that sound good. And see, I was speaking to a room of business owners who didn't necessarily care a lot about copywriting. So if I'm going to sell them a $2,000 copywriting book, I got to make them care about copywriting. So I got them to agree that copy is literally the most important thing in their business. You guys see how these very simple agreement analogies can do this? In sold out courses, I talked about a movie ticket. One of the big objections people had was, well, I don't want to sell my course and then create it, because I would tell people, hey, make sure you pre-sell it, right? You want to always pre-sell your online course. This was, by the way, this was another webinar I did that did 8 figures, and I was teaching how to create courses. And I said, listen, you need to sell it before you create it. And everybody hated that idea. So I said, okay, let me ask you a question. If you bought a ticket to a movie, do you expect the second you buy that ticket to watch that movie, or do you wait until the movie happens? And everybody's like, no, you wait until the movie happens. I said, okay. So when you pre-sell your course, if you say, hey, I'm doing a live premium training on this date, buy a ticket, and then they buy it, and then on that date you deliver it, and then you just sell the recording as a course, isn't that the same thing? And they go, oh yeah. And I'm just like, see, you can pre-sell your course. You just frame it like a ticket to the filming rather than a course you haven't created. And everybody was like, wow. Okay. And it overcame that objection. Simple, guys. All right. So analogies are how you engineer agreement without teaching. Teaching says, here's the data, here's the logic, now agree with me. An analogy says, you already believe X. This is the same thing. And you get agreement in 30 seconds. This is what fills the gap left by removing the how. Not more content, better analogies. Remember, the script is the business, and these analogies should be one of the core throughout your entire script. So here is the complete agreement ladder, okay? Same 4 presentations. Now you can see where their script, what their scripts were actually doing. Engineering agreement step by step. So when someone has climbed all 9 steps, the close is in a moment. There is no, here comes the pitch. It's just the next logical step. Now, of course, they're going to buy. Not buying would mean disagreeing with the 9 things they already agreed with. Now, of course, not everybody's going to buy. We're talking about getting enough people to buy to make it a banger, okay? They don't just feel sold. They feel like they made the decision themselves because they did. You just engineered the sequence. That's agreement engineering. That's what the script does. And the script is the business, okay? So your webinar wasn't broken. The content was probably pretty solid, but the agreement ladder was never built. It was just never built. You were asking people to jump from step 1 directly to the offer, skipping 7 agreements. That's no wonder they needed to think about it. Their brain was trying to climb a ladder with most of the steps missing. The script is the business, and the business is script engineering these 9 agreements in order in your webinar. Does this make sense? I tried to make this as very simple as possible. All right. So would you like to see examples from my webinar that did 9.2 million? You want me to go through them, guys? Okay. Hopefully I keep my voice by the end of this. I do need a break every once in a while. So just let me, okay. All right. So the big idea here was basically anyone can start an advertising agency. And that was parallel to become the big idea was become a modern day Don Draper, which is why everybody can start an advertising agency. So when I did this little analogy that I showed you guys earlier with Don Draper, it hit 4 agreements at once. It hit, I can see myself succeeding with this because I showed them how simple it was. And I showed them how most of these companies, they don't need, like, they don't need anything complex. They just need a simple ad. They just don't have the time to do it. Number 4, this person understands me better than I understand myself. So I used multiple examples in there of how I wanted to make money without an audience or a product, which was most of the audience. So I showed them, like, listen, you want that. You're trying to get around it, but you always find yourself having a product or trying to build an audience. This is the path where you don't have to do that. Number 1, the problem is serious enough to solve right now. I went into all kinds of stuff about, bills and inflation and costs going up and all that. And then number 2, what I've been doing can't work. I was talking about how everybody's trying to make money with complex ways, and this was a simple way. Then I showed, this is so funny. I showed a screenshot of Infusionsoft, one of these Infusionsoft campaigns, and this hit 2 agreements. What I've been doing can't work. I said, look, this is what most people do who run advertising agencies. You see how complex this is? And they spend $10,000 to get a certification from Infusionsoft. And I started talking shit about old people. I was like, these guys are 50 years old. They spent their life savings on a stupid certificate so that they could sit here for 8 hours a day tweaking this and get terrible results for their clients. And I'm going to show you how to throw an ad up in 5 minutes and get better results than them. Like, I went hard. Number 5, there is a solution and it's fundamentally different. And I was basically showing them, like, you don't have to do any of this. Students with awards. So here's one thing you guys can do. Guys, take a very easy win for your clients, print up a damn t-shirt, and every time they get that win, send them a t-shirt. People love t-shirts. I don't know why, they just do. And I would, whenever I did an event or whatever, I would just show people with these t-shirts and these awards. And so it showed that the specific solution is proven because they're making money with it, and that they can see themselves doing with it because I showed people from all different walks of life. And I was like, look, this person's from here, this person's from there, this person's old, this person's young, etc. Right? Now, one quick thing I'll show you guys. In one of our programs, we have a webinar right now. It sells a $2,000 offer. It converts at 6 to 7%, and it's evergreen. It's not even live. It's for a $2,000 personal brand course, okay? So what we do is we made this little brand box, okay? And in the brand box, we have, like, all these, we have like paid ads for lead magnets. We just have like these workbooks, the authority carousel system, storytelling system, DM closing guide, like basically just a bunch of extra workbooks, right? When they get it, they get a personal message from me, and literally it's like, hey, film an unboxing video and send it to us, right? But then on the bottom, it has this big, like, look at this. Do you guys see this? Attention. And I say, would you like an extra 3 months of your Artimo Pro subscription? Send the unboxing video here. Now, 2 things happen when we do this. You get a ton of social proof that you can use in your webinars. You can play these in your webinars. You can send pictures of these in your webinars. And the second thing is, has anybody here ever had somebody buy a program from you, they consume your content, and then they try to file a chargeback on you just to get one over on you? Like, you didn't actually mess up. They just filed a chargeback to try to get it for free. Has anybody ever experienced that? Let me know in the chat. Say me if you've ever experienced that, especially if you've sold like mid-ticket stuff. High ticket, it doesn't happen so much. So Eric's Benjamin has. So here's the thing. If somebody tries to file a chargeback on you for a digital product, but you have sent them a physical product with a tracking number, and the tracking number shows delivered, when you go to the credit card company and you say, and they say product not delivered, because that's what they always choose, you say, well, here's a tracking number that shows delivered. And they go, okay, and you win the chargeback. Now, if you actually have messed up and done something wrong, I recommend you take care of your clients, but I'm just saying, yeah, that, by the way, guys, that right there should have been worth the 97 bucks. That's an old trick. That's an old trick, okay? All right. Another one, the one Facebook button screenshot. And by the way, I'm going to give you, would you guys like a recording of this webinar that did 9.2 million that you can kind of watch? Okay, well, stick around till the end and I'll give you a recording, all right? I'll give you these slides and I'll give you a recording and I'll give you a recording of this, okay? All right, so in this screenshot, Jed said he just lost a $15,000 chargeback, never happening again. Bucks, exactly. Okay, so the agreement's engineered here. I said, look, anyone can start advertising on Facebook. Just click this button. So number 3, the reason it's something I didn't know about, because believe it or not, most people did not know they could do this at this time. This was 10 years ago. Number 7, I can see myself succeeding with this, okay? I teach all this cool stuff about webinars and you guys are freaking out over the box idea. Okay, the curious student script, I told you about that. This one hit 4 agreements. This person understands me better than I understand myself, because I told them that the main reason they're not getting started is because they feared nobody would take them seriously. I showed them a way to get people to take them seriously. I can see myself succeeding with this. I showed them that it worked in real time. The cost of doing this is bigger. They're literally, if they don't do it, they've got all these people that said, hey, I'm willing to potentially be a client. They're losing that money. So I'm actually creating this money that they could have, but if they don't buy, they're not going to have it. This is, man, I need to make another webinar that uses this. This is actually really good. Sometimes I forget about this stuff. Okay, number 9, I need to act now, not later, because again, they've got clients wanting to work with them now. This was probably one of my, this was my Mona Lisa, to be quite honest with you. Okay, coming up next, even with perfect content and a full agreement ladder, there's a third failure that can kill your conversion. It has nothing to do with what you say. It has to do with how your audience feels when you say it. That's failure 3. Okay, let's keep moving. So number 3 is your webinar runs on logic. And are you guys overwhelmed yet? Or are you following so far? I'm really trying to over deliver. Okay, failure point 3, your webinar runs on logic. It needs to run on emotion. This is the difference between I believe this works and I'm buying this tonight, okay? So logic, they nod along, they close their laptop, they make dinner. Emotion is they pull out their credit card before you finish the offer. Without emotion, every agreement on your ladder stays intellectual. Agreement engineering requires both logic and emotion. Okay. So here, now, again, this is going to overwhelm you. I know it is, but you know what? When you have a winning script, the amount of money is freaking overwhelming. And I promise you, you're just one pitch away from a completely different life, because that's what happened to me. And that's what happened to many of my students, many of my clients. One pitch. So here are 10, I know it's a lot, but here are 10 emotional factors that drive buying decisions. Number 1, love and acceptance, feeling seen. Number 2, social status. I want to be like them. Number 3, intelligence. I'm in the know. Number 4, greed and autonomy, freedom, control. Number 5, fear and safety, the fear of losing. Number 6, guilt and regret. If I don't act, I'll feel guilty. Number 7, pride and achievement. People will notice. Number 8, goodness. Buying feels like the responsible thing to do. Number 9, significance and purpose. This matters. And number 10, mortality and legacy. Time is running out. The best presentations score 8 to 9 out of 10. Obviously, some of them score 10 out of 10. Most webinars score 3 out of 4, some of them even less. So these aren't abstract concepts. Let me show you what they look like in actions. So Tony Robbins, personal power. I see you. So this is love. Number one, I see you. You're not broken. You're not weak. You've just been running the wrong patterns. The audience feels understood, not judged. Guilt. You know you're capable of more. How long are you going to keep settling? Your family is watching. He actually said that. Makes inaction feel like a moral failure. Significance. This isn't about making more money. This is about becoming the person you were meant to be. Elevates the purchase beyond a transaction. Mortality. Every day you wait, you're older, less energy, less time. Your best years are right now. Creates urgency from biology, not scarcity. So you see how well Tony did that? Like, do you see how well he did that? Like read this stuff. It's insane. And he just does it over and over again. Sam Ovens, status, shows his Manhattan apartment, the car, the lifestyle. Not bragging, just showing what the model produces. This is what consulting looks like at scale. Autonomy, which is number 4, 30K months, no boss, work from anywhere, set your own schedule. This can also be applied to health, wellness, relationships, not just money. This one happens to be money. Intelligence, deep analytical breakdowns, frameworks, data. Most people don't know this. Remember, your audience needs to feel smart for watching. Like, do you guys right now feel like you know more about webinars than probably any of your competitors being on this workshop right now? Like, do you feel smarter? Like you learned some shit. Yeah? Like, this is part of it, right? Pride. Imagine telling your friends you run a consulting firm. The identity shift from freelancer to consultant hits pride and status simultaneously. Okay? Stansbury, end of America, fear. The US dollar will lose reserve currency status. Your savings gone. Your retirement worthless. The entire presentation, this one runs on fear. It's the dominant E factor. Okay? Goodness. Protect your family. Be the responsible one who saw it coming. To be fair, this particular presentation was a bit aggressive, but still. Intelligence. Most Americans have no idea what's coming, but you're watching this. Again, makes them feel like an insider, right? And look, guys, I'm going to tell you something. Your competitors who run VSLs and webinars, they don't know this shit. They don't know this, because if you didn't know it, if this all seems brand new to you, I guarantee you it's new to your competitors, okay? And the ones that are smashing it, they probably know some of this stuff, okay? There's very few people on the planet that knows what I'm teaching right now. So I want you to understand that once you learn this stuff, you enter into an entirely new realm. You're in a new club when it comes to marketing, when it comes to online business. You're just in a completely different class. See? Okay. P90X, pride. Before and after photos, the transformation you get to show people. They said a lot of times in that people will treat you differently. Okay? Acceptance. It's not your fault. Your body adapted. You weren't lazy. Your workout was just wrong. It removes shame. Status. Tony Horton's physique. The workout group's energy. The community. I want to be a part of that. Regret. You've tried everything else. How many more years are you going to waste? The cost of not trying P90X is another year of the same body. 4 presentations, 15 emotional factors triggered. None of them are selling. All of them are engineering emotion. Different E factors for different audiences, but the principle is the same. So do it real quick, just in your head. Score yours right now. Go through that list, and just real quick in your brain, how many do you think your webinar intentionally triggers? Not mentions, but actually engineers. Be ruthless with yourself. Like, let me know in the chat, 1 out of 10, what's the number? Just say it in the chat. If you think you do it all, say 10. If you think, okay, my webinar doesn't exist. Well, the first one could be amazing. 2 out of 10. So Keith says 2 out of 10. Timmer says 5. What else we got? Just give me a number 1 to 10, guys. This gives me an opportunity to get a drink. 1, if I'm being honest. You're honest. 3. Ogu says 6 to 7. 6. Those are good. Most people don't have 6. 5. Just getting started. That's okay. 2. 2 to 3. Okay. Want my first one perfect. Let's go. All right. So here's how you can fix it. There's 3 emotional engines. And if you install these 3, you'll hit 8 out of 10 E factors naturally without forcing anything. So I'm going to show you how to hit these E factors like faster than you think possible. Number one, the villain. Every great selling presentation has an enemy. Now, for instance, in this one, it's the teacher brain. Every time I've ever cost myself a ton of money, it's when I started teaching more. The teacher brain. Okay. That's the big enemy for me. But most presentations, it's not a competitor. It's a force, an ideology, or a behavior, something the audience can rally against. Okay. It covers 2 and 5, fear and status. The villain triggers fear. What happens if the villain wins? And belonging. We're fighting against this together. Trust me, I've been fighting against the teacher brain my whole life. Well, past 13 years anyway. So the villain in action, Tony Robbins. The villain is learned helplessness. Society telling you to settle. They want you to believe you can't change that your circumstances defined you. The audience unites against that belief. Stansberry, which was the End of America newsletter. The villain is the U.S. government. Reckless spending, money printing, lying to the public. You can't fight them, but you can protect yourself. This workshop, the villain is the teacher brain, the instinct to educate instead of engineer agreement. Sympathetic villain, it comes from a good place, but it's killing your conversion. Okay? Real quick, there was a comment. It is great, but the ads are also very important to get the potential customers to register. My last webinar was broken because of bad leads. Guys, listen to me. All your ads are a reflection of your webinar. That's it. So if your webinar topic and frame is not correct, you're gonna attract the wrong leads. Period. So let me show you something. Look at this. Look at this. This is what I call a paid presentation. This is something that I teach people in my mastermind. Just so you guys understand, look at this, okay? So this is what I made from this presentation. So what are these numbers? Just let me just show you something here real quick, all right? I'm very transparent. So what is this? 17,306 plus 5,964 plus 582 plus 3,661, 27. I got paid $27,513 to teach you guys this today. Okay? Our surveys from you guys that came on, you're all great people. Like literally, you're all really amazing clients. And some of you, I'd love to have you as an actual client. Okay? So the point is, what was that? It's the topic, the frame of the webinar. Anyway, side tangent. Okay, so the villain gives the audience someone to fight. It makes buying feel like an act of rebellion, not a transaction. So picking the right villain is a big part of that. One of the villains I chose in one of my original webinars was the IRS because I started a restaurant. I was very successful with it. Then my accountant died. I couldn't get my receipts, and the IRS sued me for $250,000. And they literally said, we're not allowing you to write off your electric, your liquor, your food, your employee cost, or your rent because you don't have the receipts, even though I had the bank records. And I'm like, you're telling me that I owned a bar and restaurant for a year and a half and I didn't buy any liquor, I didn't have any employees, I didn't pay any rent. How is that possible? They said, it doesn't matter. They were trying to get me on a technicality. This is why this whole America's the land of opportunity bullshit. It's a human battery factory, okay? Don't tell me it's the land of opportunity when the same people that tell you that you have opportunity, as soon as you start making it, they try to screw you on a technicality any way they can. So one villain I've shared for me is the IRS. I swear to God, I hope everybody at the IRS literally gets dysentery and has a horrible, horrible stomach disease. I'm joking, but I'm saying that needs to be abolished. It's a criminal Gestapo mafia organization. So and here's the thing, when you pick a villain, I get fired up when I talk about the IRS. I hate the IRS. I think they're criminal. They are all absolute criminals. Nothing good about them. I get fired up. Sometimes I say stuff that is kind of gets me in trouble. And I say offensive things because I get so fired up about certain things. So when you pick a villain, it's got to be something where you're a little worried you're going to say some stuff you shouldn't say. Like I literally, like, I cannot tell you how much I hate the IRS. They're bad people. Like, I don't, like, I just literally think they're bad people. Like, they're bad human beings. Like, they deserve just punishment. Okay. Like, see, I'm doing it now. Okay. So pick somebody that just, something that just gets you fired up. Okay. All right. Number two, the two futures. Paint two vivid pictures: the future where they don't act, pain, regret, stagnation, and a future where they do, specific, tangible, emotional. Imagine when you have a presentation that just prints money. It changes your mind. Imagine you're one pitch away from a completely different life. What got me here? What got me taking care of my parents? What got me living in Dubai? What got me having my literally all my whole life. My dad told me a story about how he got his dad had a friend who had a Rolls Royce, and he let him take a ride in his Rolls Royce. And then I remember growing up watching Frank Kern. I remember his Rolls Royce, and I said to myself, man, I want a Rolls Royce so bad, right? Well, recently, about 6 months ago, I bought my first Rolls Royce. Okay, where did that, like, all of this stuff? Freaking webinars. Is that not crazy? Like, it's, to me, I still look at it and I go, I talk for 45 minutes and I get these amazing things that I should not have. I delivered pizza for 7 years. Why do I have a Rolls Royce? This is ridiculous. Freaking hour webinar script. It's nuts. Okay. Just like there was one script that made Titanic one of the best selling movies of all time, and the other 14 flop, even though they were about the Titanic. It was the script. The script is the business. Okay. I'm getting off track. So you want to paint those two vivid pictures. So P90X, the dark future. Another years go by. Same body, same frustration, etc. The bright future, 90 days. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. Your wife notices. Your friends ask what you're doing. Your kids see a father that follows through. I mean, that's powerful. Sam Ovens, dark. 5 years from now, still freelancing, still capped at 5K a month, still trading an hour for dollars. Bright, 30K months, team, freedom, working from anywhere in the world. You guys see, you got to paint these two futures. But shouldn't the product being sold behind the webinar also be a killer? Guys, I mean, my first product was literally just a very simple Facebook ads course. It just, as I became more successful, it developed into this $1 million thing. This is a freaking workout video. It's a workout video. You do this for 45 minutes. What's special about that? Okay. All right. Number three, the identity bond. They stop seeing you as a person with a product, and they start seeing you as my person. My person. Okay. This hits love, status, and significance. When the bond forms, they buy because not buying feels like they're betraying the relationship. Tony Robbins, sleeping in his car, washing dishes in the bathtub, 400 pounds. He was me. The audience doesn't see a billionaire on stage. They see themselves 20 years in the future. Always paint yourself as them, but now you're them in the future. Big, big tactic here. Sam Ovens, living in his parents' garage, failed 7 businesses, socially awkward, not a natural salesman. He's not. If this weird, quiet guy from New Zealand can do 20 million, what's my excuse? This workshop, I look like I'm 12. I decided to dress like a lesbian for some reason. I don't know why. I look back on my pictures and I go, yeah, dude, I have a Wall Street Journal best-selling book, and I'm on the cover and I look like a lesbian. You know how embarrassing that is? I'm just saying, okay? You love that book, all right? Okay. So 3 of those engines hit 8 to 9 out of the 10 E factors automatically. I went through those a little quick because I know that I don't want this presentation to run too long, but pick a villain, make sure you paint 2 futures, them not doing it, them doing it, and then the identity bond. Make yourself seem like them 20 years from now or 10 or whatever. Otherwise, they won't relate to you, okay? Your webinar wasn't broken. The logic was solid. The emotional engine was never installed. A perfectly rational presentation that people agreed with intellectually, but they ignored behaviorally. Because logic doesn't open wallet, emotions does. Logic justifies the decision afterward. The script is the business, and the script needs to make them feel, not just think. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about what happens after you present your offer. So that's number 4. We're getting through it. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, I gave us 3 hours. We're at, what are we at? An hour and a half? We're good. We're good on time. Well, we're not gonna take it to 3 hours, I don't think. Okay. You guys staying with me here? Oh, we actually had more people come on. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Wonder if I should ask my wife for another coffee. Let me just do that real quick. For my All right. 1 second, guys. Just want to let my voice. Hey, if there's any coffee, can I have one more cup? And if not, maybe tea? Question mark. Thank you. Love you. Okay. Do I ever miss St. Pete living in Dubai? No. No. Dubai is absolutely freaking amazing. No, I don't miss St. Pete. But Florida's cool. Okay. Failure point number 4. You end at the offer instead of beginning there. The offer reveal is the starting line, not the finish line. Seriously. This is where most scripts hemorrhage the most money. One time I did a JV webinar with Anthony Morrison. He pitched and he did 100 grand. I stayed on for an hour and I kept closing and I did another 100 grand. And he called me after. He's like, dude, you're a maniac. And I was like, bro, the most money in webinars is made after everybody's bought and you stay. That's where the most money's made. Okay. So most webinars treat the offer as the finish line. Build for 45 minutes, reveal the offer, show the price, put up a link, done. Any questions? The 2 most expensive words in webinar history. I don't mind you guys taking questions. I'm going to take questions at the end of this webinar. But you need to stay on, not just for questions, but for handling objections, okay? And if you're going to take questions, you got to make sure you make it known that you're going to be taking questions about the offer as well, not just questions about the content. You just spent 45 minutes engineering agreement, then you abandoned them at the moment of decision. So this is very important. So most webinar closes I've seen, especially beginner ones, like literally I've seen them be 2 or 3 minutes. They just drop, like they drop it and go. A properly engineered close is at least 15 to 20 minutes, and that's a bare minimum. I've gone on for 2 hours before, okay? The most important 15 to 20 minutes in your entire business, because this is where every dollar of revenue is actually generated. The second you show the price, every defense mechanism fires at once. Can I really afford this? What if it doesn't work? What if I can't make it work? Let me think about it and come back later. If your script doesn't address every single one of these in the minutes after the price reveal, and that's if you're doing a price reveal. Sometimes you don't do a price reveal because maybe the price changes, it's high ticket, you have multiple options, that's fine, but still, you would have just let them talk themselves out of buying. So here's 7 elements that belong in every close. The bridge, a seamless transition from content to commercial. Number 2, the value stack. Each deliverable named, valued. If it's a lower ticket, I would value it. If it's a higher ticket, I wouldn't put a value on it. But it needs to be connected to the pain. One great phrase you can use is "so you can." Whatever the thing they get is, so you can eliminate this pain. Each one. Price reveal. Reframed against what they're already losing. Again, you don't have to reveal the price if it's a high ticket webinar, but you have to reveal conditions. So for instance, whenever I pitch our mastermind, I always talk about the 3 requirements you must have in order to join. So if it's a high ticket webinar, you can replace the price reveal with conditions. Number 4, risk reversal. It needs to eliminate both fears about the product and about themselves. Most people don't buy, not just because they don't trust you, but because they don't trust themselves to use what you're giving them. So you need to have risk reversal language in there. Number 5, objection handling. 5 to 7 objection addressed directly post pitch. Urgency. Believed scarcity with a reason why. There has to be a reason why. Like there's certain offers that we sell, we have legitimate reasons. Like some of them are done for you offers. We can only take so many clients on. Some of like our mastermind, we only allow so many people in because I don't want to be on calls for 5 hours. So there has to be like real reasons. And number 7, decisive action. Buying is an identity statement and not buying is choosing the old life. So let me show you what each looks like in a real presentation. So number 1, the bridge. So the way I bridged in 30 Day Agency, if I remember correctly, is are you ready to make a huge change in your life? Let's do some math. And then I did math behind what their life could look like with X amount of clients. And I rolled into the pitch. Sam Ovens, after 3 hours of teaching, he transitions with, now that you understand the framework, let me show you how to implement it with far less trial and error. And he went to the offer. Now, for me personally, I like to get permission to close. I've always liked to get, some people don't do this. I love to get permission because when you basically ask people, would you like me to show you what we have to offer? And they say yes, they're asking you to pitch them. It's just it just flows so much better. What most webinars do is they say, okay, now I want to tell you about something that I put together. The audience feels the shift. They brace themselves. And a lot of times you'll lose half the room. You want them to ask for it. Number 2, the value stack. So in 30 Day Agency, the program, I showed all the individual elements. I had a value stack. Again, I would not do this on a high ticket webinar because you usually have a more sophisticated audience and they don't like that stuff. But I valued it. It had like $8,000 in perceived value just for that one section without the bonuses. In P90X, they had the DVDs, the nutrition guide, the fitness test, the workout calendar, the online community. Each component addressed a specific reason why the previous workout failed. So everything in your offer should actually address why they think they can't succeed. The key is, every item in the stack answers a problem raised earlier in the script. It's not look how much stuff you get. It's remember this problem. This component solves it. You guys get this? Like this is important. Your offer needs to fill all these little gaps that were created in the script. Okay. No, you don't skip it in a high ticket Zubin. The only thing I do different for high ticket is I generally don't reveal the price. And one reason for that is sometimes we raise our prices. And if I have a dope webinar that's converting and I put it on auto, now I got to go back and re-record it if I change the price and I might not have the same energy. So that's one just logistical reason why I don't do it. The price reveal. You want to reframe, not state. So for 30 Day Agency, it was a $1,000 offer. I compared it to the $100,000 it cost me to open up a small bar and restaurant, which was kind of like a shitty nightclub in my hometown. I compared it to $40,000 that one of the people on I think they were in the chat. I think the person in the chat just said this and I called it out. He paid $40,000 for a college degree and it taught him nothing. He mentioned that. Stansbury, $49 per year compared to potentially losing your entire retirement savings. So you see how you have to compare the price to the other thing, okay, the dark future. The technique is called reduction to the ridiculous. I learned this one from Dan Kennedy. Never let the price exist in a vacuum. Always compare it to the value they're getting, the cost of not acting, or what they're already spending on things that don't work. Number 4, risk reversal. Eliminate both fears. And by the way, if you guys have questions, I'll stay on as long as possible for the questions. I just want to make sure we get through the slides. You can hear the voice. Fear number 1, what if the product doesn't work? This is about the offer. Guarantee handles it. Fear 2, what if I can't make it work? This is about themselves. Most guarantees miss this one entirely. So for 30 Day Agency, I say it's a 30-day money back guarantee. I don't care if it's 29 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes. So I was very bold when I said that. Tony Robbins, if you follow the system for 30 days and you don't see a transformation, I'll give you every penny back. And that addresses fear number 2. If you do the work, it will work. So for instance, one thing that we have an offer where we actually write sales presentations for our clients. And one of our guarantees is that we'll keep writing it until it beats their old one, or we'll keep writing it until it hits certain numbers. So an agreement analogy I might use there is, would you hire a contractor to remodel your kitchen if they said, I will keep working until you love it, no extra charge? Of course you would, right? That's what a real guarantee feels like. So if I build your kitchen and you don't like it, I'll build it again. No extra charge, right? Anyway, number 5, post-pitch objection handling. You might be thinking, one of the most profitable phrases in selling. Now, you might be thinking, and then you talk. So in 30-day agency, I did this one I got from Russell Brunson. Money is evil. It's not evil. It's simply a tool used for exchange. That's a classic Russell Brunson close. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is a great close. I got this one from Russell as well. I say, if you ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich People Buy Assets, remember, today I'm not asking you to spend money. I'm asking you to invest money, because what you're getting today is going to make you back more money. That's the entire purpose. You're not buying a TV. You're not buying a dinner. So I'm not asking you to spend a penny. I'm asking you to invest $9.97 into something that can make you potentially $10,000 a month. That's investing. So you see, I've reframed the action of buying from spending to investing. So why this works. After the price reveal, oh, thank you, baby. The people who didn't buy are sitting there with specific objections. If you end the webinar, those objections win. If you address them, 10 to 15 minutes of you might be thinking, you convert the fence sitters, okay? And this is even more effective in a beginner audience, because a beginner audience really needs this stuff. So this section alone can double your conversion rate, and it's a section 90% of webinars don't have. Number 6, believe scarcity with a reason why. In 30-day agency, I said the first 5 people get 3 exclusive bonuses. Stansberry, he said the dollar will lose, this was great. The dollar will lose reserve currency status. Every day you wait is a day closer to the collapse. So that is like an inherent scarcity, which is if you have that, oh my gosh, it's so great, because like a bonus is like a bonus, right? But this is just, it's inherent. What kills urgency is fake countdown timers, only 3 spots left with no reason why. Like if you say, I only have 3 spots left, but you can't show them that you actually have 3 spots left, then that's a problem. Like show them. Like sometimes I'll do it later. I'll show my mastermind. I'll show you how many spots there are. So always give them a reason why. Scarcity without a reason is ignored. Your audience isn't stupid. The rule is the urgency must be believed. It must have a logical reason for existing. So one thing I've said before is we only take on 10 done-for-you clients because we write every word personally when we talk about writing scripts for people, because that's true. We can't, like, I can't have 100 done-for-you clients, like, not for what we do, okay? It's just too many. And I try to keep my business small, just me and a few people. I ain't trying to build a big, I make plenty of money. I'm happy. Number 7, buying. Identity statement. In 30-day agencies, great close, I said, you're at a crossroads. You can fall back into your same old habits, or you can make a change. Human beings are creatures of habit. You want to break that habit today. Tony Robbins, he said, the people who succeed aren't smarter, they're more decisive. They see the path and they take it while everyone else is still thinking about it. The reframe is buying isn't a financial decision, it's a character decision. Not buying feels like a concession to fear. Acting feels like becoming the person they want to be. So most webinars, I'm going through these a bit quick. Most webinars hit 1 to 2 out of 7. The best webinars hit all of them. So before we move on to the 5th, let's talk about some silent killers or presenter tells. When you drop your, by the way, guys, anybody here have ever got to the pitch and you just kind of get freaked out and you change your tone, you drop your energy? Has any of this ever happened to you guys? This is, yeah, thank you, Max. The voice is going. Okay. Thank you guys for being patient. All right. Getting that Tony Robbins voice. So things you do during the close that your audience reads as reasons not to buy, even if they don't know why. Number 1, voice drops when you transition to the pitch. Your energy was, and sometimes I make these mistakes. This one I've learned not to make. Your energy was 10 out of 10 during the content. It drops to 6 out of 10 during the offer. If I start selling you something and I sound different, you're like, whoa, like like, even if you don't logically think it, you just in your gut, you're like, ooh, something's wrong. You don't want to do that. That will kill your conversions. You need to practice going into the pitch with the same energy, speed, and tonality as that exciting content. Number two, apologetic language. I know you came here to learn, but I have an offer. Don't apologize for pitching. Like, never apologize for pitching. Why are you apologizing? You're running a business, aren't you? Like, you just gave them a ton of value. Of course you're going to pitch. Don't apologize for that. Never apologize for it. Rushing the close. 45 minutes of content, 2-minute close. That ratio screams, I'm uncomfortable asking for money. Don't be uncomfortable asking for money. Self-deprecating humor about selling. You can have self-deprecating humor. I love my little lesbian joke that I give, because that's the only way I can cope with the fact that I spent 5 years of my life dressed and looking like a lesbian. However, where you don't want to use self-deprecating humor is when you're talking about selling. I hate this part. This is the part where I have to sell you. Okay, don't do that. If you're not okay with it, they're not going to be okay with it. Okay? Another one. All sales are final. Don't position that. Like, I don't mind if you don't have a money back guarantee, but don't say shit like, all sales are final. You just sound like a dick. Like, I had a webinar I reviewed from a client, and literally, in his close, he was like, all sales are final. I'm like, why are you saying that? He's like, well, I don't want refunds. I'm like, okay, I know you don't want refunds, but don't be a dick. Like, it shows contempt for the buyer. So don't use, like, I'm fine if you guys don't have a money back guarantee, but give them a reason why. Don't be a dick to them. Okay. It's just like, that's not a good place to be a dick. Just my experience, don't do it. So your close should have the same energy as your content. If you memorize no other part of your presentation, memorize the close. Know it cold, practice it. The hesitation, the confusing, the fumbling, your audience reads it all as don't buy. Okay? The close is not a different section. It's the same presentation, the same energy, the same authority. The only thing that changes is you're now showing them how to get the result, not just what the result is. The script. Okay. So the script is the business. I'm going to say this 50 million times. I'm going to say another 50 million times because it's the one thing that's changed my life. The script is the business. And the close is the most important section of the script. Never short it, never rush it, never apologize for it. So in your head, real quick, score your close right now. How many of these elements does your close have? How long is it? Is it 2 minutes or is it 20? If you're 1 out of 2, or if you're 1 to 2 out of 7, you probably built a beautiful house and you forgot to install the front door. It's sad. Don't do that. Okay? Again, your webinar wasn't broken. The content was solid. Your agreement ladder was climbing. You just stopped selling at the exact moment the selling needed to begin. Okay? So coming up, the final failure. So we're going to move into the final failure, and then I'm going to go through my webinar, a few of the slides, and I'm going to show you how I integrated this, and it resulted in 9.2 million. So you can really see this. Okay. I call this I call this Claude code messing up my slides. It says invisible thread. I like to call it the repetition engine because it sounds cooler. Okay. Number 5, you only say your big idea once. Why are you doing that? You need to say it 21 times. Does anybody know what the big idea of this presentation is? Can anybody guess? Does anybody guess what the big idea of this presentation is? The script is the business. The script is the business. The script is the business. The script. Look at all. Now, I'm going to illustrate something to you. Everybody has said the script is the business. Now, remember, people don't remember the beginning, the middle, or the end. They remember one core concept when they walk away from your webinar. And if they can't walk away and say one phrase to sum it all up, you did not land your big idea. And if you did, you didn't say it enough. Now, I did not mention this until now. And when I asked, what is my big idea? You all knew exactly what it was. Why? Because I have said the script is the business freaking at least 20 times. See? How are you guys doing that? Are you doing that? Okay. All right. Let's get into it. So your big idea needs to appear 7 to 21 times in your presentation. This is the Dan Kennedy standard, 7 to 21. I believe 21 or more. But most of you guys don't do it. You don't even do it 7 times. Okay. And look, it doesn't have to be word for word. It can. It can be restated, reframed, reproven through different voices, stories, and lenses, each time feeling natural, not forced. Most webinars, the big idea appears once, maybe twice, if they remember it in the close. But by the time the offer comes, the audience has forgotten why they should buy. Why this matters: primacy and recency. Write this down: primacy and recency. People remember how you started and how you ended. Everything between minute 5 and minute 50 is a fog. People very rarely remember, very rarely remember the beginning, the middle, or the end. They only remember the beginning of the beginning and the end of the end. Okay? Without engineered repetition, your big idea lives in minute 4 and it gets buried under 40 minutes of other content. Repetition is not stylistic, it's structural. It's part of the script, and the script is the business. Okay. I love teaching to a sophisticated audience because I can play with you guys a little bit and I can show you what I'm doing and you'll appreciate it. A beginner audience is going to be like, what? So I appreciate you guys being here. Okay. Before you can repeat it, you need to find it. If there is one thing that is the most important shift that you could make in your webinar, it's what I'm about to show you right now. If you forgot everything I just told you, this is it. Okay? So your topic, your big idea is not your topic. Your topic, how to build a consulting business if it's like Sam Ovens. That's a category. 100 people teach that. Your big idea, anyone with expertise can build a $10,000 a month consulting business with the right system. That's a belief compressed into a single phrase. Remember the one belief map from the blueprint at the beginning? The big idea is that one belief boiled down to one sentence. If you can't say it in one phrase, you don't have one yet. And if you don't have one, you have nothing to repeat. So every great presentation has one in one sentence. Tony Robbins, you're not broken, you're running from the wrong, you're not broken, you're running the wrong patterns. Sam Ovens, anyone can build a consulting business with the right system. P90X, which is, again, probably the best. Muscle confusion is the only way to force your body to change. Stansberry, end of America. 3 words, the entire argument in the title. This workshop, the script is the business. Notice each one is short enough to remember, specific enough to act on, and impossible to hold without buying. So here's the big idea test. If someone can hold your big idea and still not buy, it's not your big idea. Muscle confusion is the only way to force your body to change. Can you honestly believe that and not buy P90X? It's really hard. Exercise is important. Can you believe that and not buy? Of course. You can nod, you can agree, and you can do nothing. The test is binary. If they can hold a belief and walk away, keep digging. You haven't found it yet. Now, once you have your big idea, you pair it with the unique mechanism. The big idea is the what, the mechanism is the how. Together, it's the thread that runs through everything. So let me just go through it here. Big idea, you're running the wrong patterns. Mechanism, neuroassociative conditioning, or in some other presentations, state control. Big idea, anyone can consult. Mechanism, the consulting blueprint. Big idea, body adapted. Mechanism, muscle confusion. Big idea, it's the end of America. The mechanism is his proprietary research on investing. And he gave all the reasons why it was proprietary and all that. This one, script is the business, agreement engineering. You guys see? I literally just came up with this big idea and unique mechanism for this presentation to not only teach it to you, but to show it to you in action. Big idea, and I wrote this whole presentation like a few days ago, by the way. Big idea plus mechanism is the thread. Every story connects back to the thread. So my cookware story, where I talked about working at that sales place where Billy Mays worked, selling cookware, the script made the sale, not me. That's the script is the business. Every proof point reinforces the thread. Tony Robbins, P90X, Stansberry, all examples of scripts being the business. Agreement engineering is what those scripts were doing. You see how I connected all those? Every analogy serves the thread. The billboard analogy, I didn't do the billboard analogy yet, but the ladder, the content matrix, all the tools within agreement engineering, they all serve the thread. Without the thread, you have a bag of loose ideas. The audience likes each piece, but they can't remember why they should buy because nothing tied it together. So here's that agreement analogy I was talking about. A billboard you see once is an ad. A billboard you see every day on your commute becomes a belief. Your big idea needs to be the billboard on their commute through your webinar. By the end, they don't remember where they first heard it. They just believe it. I'll give you an example. My grandfather, on my father's side, was a German physicist, very smart. My dad was not. My dad was a DJ. He went out and got drunk and did DJ work. He was a fun guy. He didn't have good grades. He was just chilling. My grandfather was a very rich physicist. Unfortunately, he got throat cancer and he died early. He spent all his money on medical because he didn't want to use his insurance, because if he used his insurance, he would have lost his job. He left my dad with nothing. And one of the promises I made to my dad was, I will become rich and I will take care of you again. And I did. Bought him a house, took care of him, give him a salary every week. It's pretty cool. Anyway, one of the things my grandfather said to my dad that my dad must have mentioned to me 50 times, no, 500 times, is a physicist thing, like a scientist thing. It was constant exposure always leads to some form of contamination. What it means is if you put yourself around things that are bad, you will eventually become to a certain degree bad. If you put yourselves around things that are good, you will eventually become to a certain degree better. And so I have always remembered that because my dad said it so much. And it's always reminded me to choose carefully who I associate with, choose carefully who I hang out with. Whenever I would get in like a mastermind, I would be very intentional to get into groups that had people doing better things than me so I could level up. So that became a big belief that served me well. And the only reason it became that belief was because I heard it so often from my dad. Anyway, so here are 5 techniques you can use to repeat your big idea without being repetitive. And keep in mind, sometimes you can be repetitive, like the script is the business, it's the end of America. These are naturally things that you can repeat. Book ending. State the big idea at the start and end of each section. This alone gives you 8 to 10 repetitions. Remember, the script is the business, okay? Stop and summarize. At transitions, pull it together. So what does this mean? It means the script is the business. Repetition disguised as progress. Number 3, testimonials that restate. Lewis didn't, oh yeah, I did show you that testimonial. So Lewis, I showed you the 13% conversion rate. He didn't just get results. He got results by reading the script exactly as we wrote it. So in that, I got to go all the way back, but in that testimonial, he said, hey, our webinar is converting at 13%. And I said, did you do it word for word like we wrote it? Because he's one of our done for you webinar clients. And he said, yes. So in the screenshot, right? So I say, look, he did it just as we wrote it. That's because the script is the business. So you see how okay? Number 4, stories that illustrate. Cookware stories, Stanberry stories, 30-day agency stories, 3 different stories, same underlying idea. The script did the work, not me. And that's true. Secondary promises to primary. Agreement engineering works is a secondary promise. You connect it back because the script is the business. So that's how you get like the mechanism. Agreement engineering creates a great script, and the script is the business. So that's how those 2 work together. And if you guys are a little foggy on this, don't worry. This is the hardest thing to understand when it comes to presentations, is the big idea and the unique mechanism. However, it's also the thing that makes you the most money. So it's worth it. When you do it this way, it doesn't feel like repetition. It feels like mounting evidence. By the time you present the offer, the big idea isn't something they heard once. It's something they know and believe in their bones. They can't point to the moment they started believing it. It accumulated story by story, proof by proof, analogy by analogy. That's not persuasion. That's agreement engineering. You see that reframe? That's not persuasion. You already know what persuasion is. That's a word you're associated with. You know what it is. I call it something else, agreement engineering. See? Okay, so here's the diagnostic. Find your promise desert. Go through your script, find the longest stretch where your big idea doesn't appear in any form, not stated, not restated, not illustrated, not proven. That is your promise desert, the section where the audience forgets why they're supposed to buy. The longer the desert, the lower your conversion. The fix, no section of your webinar should go more than 3 to 4 minutes without connecting back to the big idea. And use those 5 techniques to do it. So Gilbert asks, should we apply this on social media? Guys, you see it all the time. Do you know Cody Sanchez? Do you know what her big idea behind her whole brand is? Can anybody tell me? You guys have been on this training now for 2 hours. Let's see if you've learned something. Yes, thank you, Rod. Buy boring businesses. That's her big idea for her whole brand. Guys, what you're learning isn't just for webinars. It's for your whole freaking brand. It's for your content. It's for your identity. It's for the movement you build. It's for the fan club, the tribe, whatever you want to call it. It's everything. It's everything. I could have teach you the same stuff right now and not say the word webinar or presentation once, and it would all still be equally impactful to knowing how to communicate at such a level that people not only buy from you, but they could become freaking disciples. Disciples. Do you want to just become rich? That's great. Or do you want to start a movement? Do you want to be a presenter? Do you want to be a thought leader? Do you want to be somebody who, when you die, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations from now, people know your name? That is this. We just happen to use it for webinars today. Okay, sorry. I nerd out on this stuff. Okay, how many times tonight have you heard the script is the business? Yeah, blah, 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 you get it. Okay, I just did it to you again. Look, now my slides are trolling you. Okay, so all 5 failures together. The content matrix. You teach too much. You satisfy the need the offer fills, you're screwing up. Number 2, the agreement ladder. You skip the steps, you leave 7 gaps the buyer fills with doubt, not reasons to buy, doubt. The emotional scorecard, all logic. They agree intellectually, they ignore behaviorally. Number 4, close architecture. 2-minute close, you abandon them at the moment of decision. Number 5, repetition engine. Say it once, buried under 40 minutes of content, okay? So 5 failures happening simultaneously. The agreement ladder is powered by the emotional engines. The engines are reinforced by repetition. The close converts all 3. Pull one thread and all 5 things move. You can't fix one without fixing the others. They're all part of one system, the script, and the script is the business. And the script is one machine with 5 failure points, not 5 separate problems. It all works together. That's why I don't like thinking of it linear. I like thinking of it as a wheel, okay? So you know about all 5 now. You understand them. You can explain them. But knowing what's wrong and being able to fix it are 2 completely different things. And I believe I said this in the open. You cannot proofread your own novel. You're too close to it, too close to your own script to see the structural failures, okay? Now, before I move into the next thing, I just want to show you real quick. Would you guys like me to very quickly go? By the way, first of all, let's just pause for a second. Are you guys learning a lot so far? Are you guys learning a lot so far? Do you feel like this has been a good use of your time? Yes? And if there was a way we could help you and we could nerd out together on not just your script, but your business, would you guys be interested to hear that? Let me know, me in the chat. Me, yes, me. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Before I tell you about that, let me give you one more little goodie. The $9.2 million webinar script, which you will get the recording of this, okay? So we're going to, well, we're not, this slide does, we're not going to watch the webinar. The webinar is an hour and a half. You can watch it later. I'm just going to go through some slides, okay? So here's how I went through and I scored my webinar. This right here is the score. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Not all my webinars hit this perfect. This is pretty darn good. But it also made $9.2 million on a $1,000 offer, okay? So let's go through it. Number 1, the content matrix. I would say this is 9 out of 10, near perfect. So I call it the ACT method: attack, attract, capture, and transfer. Right? I made it very simple. And you guys can watch the webinar and see what I did here. I tell the story of Dr. Chad, and I said his best converting ad was just a few sentences of copy and an image. It's that easy, right? So I use simplicity as proof. And then the John Hamm thing, which is the guy from Mad Men, John Hamm played Don Draper. He plays an advertising executive. These are direct quotes from my webinar. He plays an advertising executive. Essentially, what he gets paid to do, that's what owning an advertising agency is kind of like. So I use this analogy so many times, right? I talk about mapping the framework. I show the winning ad. I walk through the case study, but I never teach how to build a campaign. I never teach any of that. I'm talking about Don Draper from Mad Men, for crying out loud. That's what I spent most of the webinar doing. So number two, the agreement ladder. Problem is urgent. Imagine an extra $10,000 per month. What would you do first? So I asked them that, and on the chat, they were telling me all the problems they had that would be solved by money. So I got them to think of the urgent things in their life that they needed money for. Number two, old path can't work. All of this web of crap everywhere. Why do I have to do all that? I was showing the screenshot of the Infusionsoft and why it was too complicated. Number three, the hidden reason, the lonely guy versus the toothache guy. So one of the things I was saying is one of the reasons people fail with Facebook ad agencies is because they choose hard clients rather than easy clients. A hard client is like a dating coach, right? They're trying to sell to some lonely guy and he's got emotional problems, whatever. He doesn't know if he wants to buy or not, versus easy clients like dentists. Someone has a toothache. What do? They go to a dentist. Like a lonely guy may or may not get a relationship coach. He might just remain lonely and have a favorite sock. But the guy with the toothache goes to the dentist. That's why dentists are easy clients. You see how easy I made that, how simple I made that? Number four, this person understands me. My wife had to wait tables so we could eat. I felt like a complete failure as a husband, right? So a lot of my audience was male. I tapped into that feeling of being a provider and what it feels like to not provide, all that. Number five, fundamentally different solution. I went against what everybody told me to do. Why can't I just run an ad and get them on the phone? So I was talking about how simple ads that just get them on the phone is better. Again, you guys can watch the webinar and see how I did this. Number six, the specific solution is proven. I had an article from a client where I sold $900,000 in real estate from $441 in Facebook ads. And I showed that. Now, you don't have to have a big thing like this. Like, it could just be proof in general, but you got to show it, right? I can see, and sometimes this is just making a freaking box, making a t-shirt, sending people t-shirts, getting a picture. That'll do it. I can see myself succeeding. Again, I send out these t-shirts. Jaden's 19, Sarah's 35 with 5 kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Number 8, cost of not doing this. What about time? Does time come? You know, I gave several analogies about how you'll never get time back, okay? And you can watch those analogies throughout that. Number 9, act now, not later. The first 5 people to jump on this get 3 exclusive bonuses. That was a $9.97 webinar. I just did the basic bonus thing. Nothing special about it. But again, you can watch it. So I hit the emotional scorecards. I talk about how my wife had to wait tables. I talk about how we didn't have a proper wedding. We got married at the courthouse, and then I took the money and gave us a proper wedding. I talk about belonging. You need to be in an environment of people that speak the same language. That's exactly why I created this thing, 2,300 people all succeeding at this exact thing. Close architecture. This was really good. I mean, I just, you know, like for instance, objection, never run a Facebook ad. It's actually quicker if you haven't, because you don't have to break bad habits. How long till I make money? It depends on you. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? How long do you think it'll take you to do that? Like, I'll let you guys watch the webinar because I don't want to make this a 5-hour training. But when you get the webinar recording, what I recommend you do, put it up, put this slide up. I'm going to give you these slides. Give me 24 hours, you'll get all this. Put up these slides, watch the webinar, and just kind of go through these slides. and you'll see. So my big idea, anybody can start an advertising agency, 7 lenses. Start your own advertising business in the next 10 minutes. I show the button. Anyone can advertise on Facebook simply by pressing a button. That's another one. Develop a skill that lets you succeed at any business you decide to start. So one point I made was, look, maybe you want to start an advertising agency now to make extra money, but maybe in the future you have your own business and you want to learn how to advertise. This is a skill that will serve you for a lifetime. So again, identity, right? And then of course, proof, client proof. You don't have to be this guy. So I talk about John Hamm, Don Draper. You don't have to work your way up the corporate ladder for 20 years to be a high-level ad executive. You can just go to Facebook and click ad manager, and now you're an ad executive. Like that one little analogy, like crushed. Yeah, anyway, so you can go through that. Let's go back here. All right, so you know all about the 5 structural failures. You understand them. You can explain them. But knowing what's wrong and being able to fix it in your own business are 2 completely different things. Earlier, you guys said you'd love an opportunity to hear about us nerding out together, and you guys can see how excited I am about this type of stuff. So that's why the best in the world don't do this alone. That's why I've been like Russell, Iman Gadzek, all these guys are some of the best in the world at what they do. We hire each other, okay? Russell's hired me because we know that when you're the best in the world, you work with the best in the world, you go higher. Tony Robbins has a team. Sam has a team. Stansbury has a team, and I have a team. And my team is really, I couldn't do this without them. I really could. I want to thank them. I sit here and I just nerd out on scripts and my webinars, and they run the company. And like, I'm just over here writing scripts and like, planning my next webinar. It's a dope life. So the script, that's why I say the script is the business. So let me show you how to make a script that's a banger for yours. So, yeah, I already showed you the webinar. Okay, so there are 2 types of presenters in this industry. And by the way, for those of you who are here right now and have enjoyed this webinar, I imagine you would like to know more about how we can work together, how we can nerd out together. And some of you guys have already nerded out with me. I see some of my clients in here. So glad to have you guys on. I'm about to explain to you how we can work together on this. So there are 2 types of presenters in this industry. 99% teach. They deliver great content. The audience learns a ton, and then nobody buys. They wonder what went wrong. And the answer is they did what felt natural instead of what was engineered. Only 1% engineer. Every slide, every story, every transition is built to move the audience from where they are to where they need to be to say yes, because the script is the business. If you want 1% money, you already know in this industry, it all comes from 1% presenters. Everybody that's making crazy money has a presentation. Long ass VSL or a webinar. It just is what it is. Tonight, you learn the difference. The question is, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be a 99%er or do you want to be a 1%er? I want you guys to be a 1% presenter because that will change your life more than anything, not just with webinars, but with how you communicate. Now, I know what I've showed you here today feels like a lot. 5 failure points, 9 agreements, emotional engines, close architecture, repetition patterns. Holy crap, it's a lot. I get it. You just got years of my work compressed into a few hours. So you might be sitting there and thinking, there's no way I can build all this myself. And good, that's the right instinct. It took me 13 years to learn this stuff. The people who try to piece this together, and I've seen them try, they spend 6 months doing it. And they still miss half of it. I believe the script is too important to guess on. And that's exactly why we built 2 paths to get you there. So just a note, I know you guys have, especially if you've been following me, you've heard this before. Companies and people pay me $50,000 to fly out for a single day. They come out, I look at their marketing, their business, their sales consultant. And by the way, I'm not going to pitch you this. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm just saying that people come out, they spend $50,000 to spend the day for me. I want you to get to the point where $50K to fly out and spend the day with me is a negligible expense. My goal today is to give you a more entry-level offer that gets you there. And just so you understand, this is one of my private clients, Dr. Kelly. She came to us for help. She sent me this message. Hey, Dan, got an awesome praise report. $895,000 with her webinar. Okay? She ended up rounding the year out with over $1 million. Same person, same offer, different words. That's what happens when words are engineered. She actually came to me. I said, just out of curiosity, why did you take the plunge on the VIP day and become a private client? She's like, I know you got the words. I'll never forget that. She says, Dan, you got the words. I want the words. I'll never forget what she said. So I want you to picture this. Next month, you press play on your webinar and you already know what's going to happen. You go live, you already know what's going to happen. The conversions aren't a surprise anymore. They're engineered. Whether you're closing 3K or 25K offer, the number moves every single time because the script underneath is legit and built right. You stop wondering why nobody's buying. You stop tweaking slides at midnight, hoping something clicks. You stop second guessing every transition. The script does the work because every word in it is there for a reason. Your webinar becomes the most reliable revenue generating asset in your business. You run it weekly, you run it monthly, you can run it daily on autopilot. You license it, you put it on evergreen. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't have a bad day because the script is the business and it just prints. And that's why I love sales presentations. I just love them. And my personal life mantra is you will never be broke if you know what to say. And that's why I've made it my life's work to know what to say. So professional copywriters will charge you $50,000 to $100,000 for a single sales presentation. Most of them suck. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. I've had people bring me these and they sucked. They don't know agreement engineering. They don't score against the 5 failures. They write copy, but they don't engineer conversion. And some people, they make big promises or they just hand you an AI tool to write your webinar. And look, if that worked, how come everyone doesn't have a $1 million webinar? Okay. Because the script isn't a fill in the blank exercise. It's actual engineering. Most people only understand one piece of the puzzle in this industry. They know copy, they know ads, or maybe they understand offer strategy, but they can't write a headline. Finding someone who understands the macro and the micro, the big picture and the little technical details, that's a unicorn. I would like to consider myself a unicorn because I've done it all. All the techs, I've done it all because I had to do it all in the beginning. And that's what you're getting when you're working with my team. You're getting a team that understands everything, the entire part of the business. Okay? Just don't ask me about taxes. That one I don't know yet. Your script is the single highest leverage asset in your business. Everyone else prices it accordingly. I just happen to have to back ours because we're so confident with a performance guarantee. So here's 2 ways we work with people. Number 1, done for you. My team writes every word of your webinar script. Your offer that you give at the end, your voice, your audience. We write the emails. We write the landing page. We even make your slides. The full machine engineered from all the frameworks that you learned tonight. We send you a list of interview questions. You send us a loom that answers those, and we write your script. We also have our Epic Pitch Mastermind. This is for operators who want to master agreement engineering themselves. They get weekly access to me personally and a room full of people making serious money from presentations. Okay? Now, which path is right for your situation? It depends on your situation, your revenue, and your goals. And that's why we have an application for this. I'm not going to sell you anything right now. We just have a very simple application. We review every applicant and we tell you honestly which one we think will fit, if either. I'll give you a quick overview. This is not everything you get, but it's a quick overview. With the done for you, you're going to get an offer validation and strategic review. We're going to make sure your offer is actually good. You're going to actually work with my team on that. You're going to get a custom 13-section webinar script following everything that I showed you today. We're just going to do it for you. You don't have to stress over it. You're going to get a complete slide deck that we built. You're going to get landing page copy, promo, show up, close cart email sequences. You'll get the full webinar funnel snapshot. It's a go high level snapshot. Boom, you can import it. You're going to get 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with my team in case you need help with like the funnel stuff and all that jazz. You'll get 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with my team. You're going to get an ad training system that I show how to run webinar ads. You're going to get a bonus, which is a book in a day workshop. If you want to take your webinar and turn it into a book that you can sell, and by the way, books have made me quite a bit of money. We have a system for that. And you're going to get a dedicated client success manager. The Epic Pitch Mastermind, you're going to get everything I just said included, but you're also going to get other amazing systems that I use, and you're going to get you're going to be in a group of people that are all building their businesses with selling presentations. So you'll get a presentation system, not just the done for you webinar, but you're going to get my complete paid presentation system. And as you can see, I made over, what was it, $24,500 just to do this presentation to you here today. So I'm going to show you how to do paid webinars, paid challenges, script them. I'm going to give you my paid presentation vault from paid presentations I did that have done 500,000, a million, 1.1 million, okay? And advanced speaking and delivery training. You're also going to get our traffic and growth engine. You're going to get our Instagram and YouTube growth system, email marketing, launch system, paid ads for paid presentations. You're going to get my internal toolkit. You'll get a year of our Artimo 2.0 copywriting software. It's an AI copywriting software, but inside of it opens up a special section for our mastermind members where you're going to get our paid presentation scripter. Now, this right here will help you ideate and figure out all the analogies, the topic, everything you need to create for a paid presentation. Because one of my bread and butters is paid webinars like this one, because people that pay attention, and people that pay attention pay more. One way to think about this is if someone, think about this real quick. Have any of you ever seen a movie trailer? You saw something you didn't like, and so you did not buy a ticket to that movie. It's probably, I'm like, how many of this has happened? It's happened to me like 1,000 times. I see a movie trailer, I don't like it, I don't buy a ticket. But how many times have you bought a ticket, went to the theater, sat down, got your popcorn, and then you saw something in the first 5 minutes you didn't like, and then you left? Nobody. Why? Because you paid to be there. Paid webinars are a whole different level. I didn't really cover that tonight, but that's a whole different level, okay? Everything you need to succeed with that is in the mastermind. Plus a bunch of other cool stuff, you know. And really the big thing is the room. You're going to get weekly coaching. I'm on a call every week. I bring people on. I speak to them. I help them build their businesses with presentations. You're going to get 2 years of coaching call recordings that if you want, you can nerd out on, and a private vetted member community. So you're going to be in an amazing community of people that are doing exactly what you want to do, selling with sales presentation. Now, there's 3 requirements to join the mastermind. Otherwise, we can only do the done for you. The group only works because of who's in it. Number 1, you must be making $25,000 a month. We're not teaching you how to start a business. Everyone in this room, like that we accept now, has a business. Number 2, you must be using presentations, webinars, paid webinars, VSLs to sell or you're about to start. This group is for people committed to presentation-based selling as their primary growth engine. And number 3, and this is the most important, you have something to contribute other than like the fee to enroll. This is a room of high-level operators, not spectators. If we believe you'll add value and benefit from you coming in the room, we'll accept you. If not, we won't. We want you to add something to the room. So when you have a chat with the member of my team, please, and if you're interested in the mastermind, please tell them what you would contribute to the group. That's how we make this group so great. And remember, I told you, constant exposure leads to some form of contamination. You want to be in a group where people are doing big things so you can do bigger things. We review every applicant. If we accept you, we're committing our team's attention to you for 12 months. We become partners with you to grow your business for 12 months. We don't take that lightly. And by the way, that's just what fits on the slide. The done for you offer validation alone, that would be like a $2,500 service if my team worked with you on that. We're just throwing that in. We don't write a word of your webinar until your offer is positioned to sell. We want to make sure your offer is good. It doesn't take long. The script uses a 13-section framework refined across $40 million in sales. That's just for me. That's not including my clients. Now, the mastermind includes things people don't even know about until they're inside. Paid presentation breakdowns, AI tools I built for my own business, partner introductions, deal flow between members, all kinds of cool stuff. We'll tell you more about it if you apply. What you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. What you're investing in is the system underneath. The script is the business, and these are the two fastest ways to get you a script that actually works. So here's my guarantee. If your webinar doesn't convert at least 20%, we're going to knock it out of the park way more than that. But if it doesn't convert at least 20% better across 200 attendees, I will personally hop on with you until it does. I'll personally get involved until it does. If you don't have a webinar yet and we write it, we guarantee $100 cash collected per attendee, not projected revenue, but cash collected. And we'll keep revising your script until we hit that number. If you already have one, again, we guarantee that our new version beats your current version by at least 20%, or I will personally get with you and make it better. We stay in the room until the number moves. Okay. So this is a serious investment for serious operators. What I'm offering now is how we work with people at a different level. The investment starts at 5 figures, depending on which path fits your situation. We do have 0% funding though. So we do have really favorable options. But just so you understand, on a $3,000 offer, raising your webinar conversion just 2% on 500 attendees per month is an extra $540,000 per year. The script is the highest ROI asset you own. We intend to make your return on this even more serious than the investment. That's the whole point. So who this is for, you're already running a webinar and you know the script needs work. You felt it the night during the frameworks. Or you're building your first webinar and you want to engineer it right from the start, not guess and hope. Or you're like me and you believe the script is the business and you know you're just one script, one pitch away from a completely different life. Because that's what happened to me. And you want to nerd out with me on it for the next 12 months, okay? So who this is not for, people that are just looking for me to look over your webinar. That's not going to happen. That's not how this works. A new big idea always requires a new script. Every story, analogy, and proof point has to be rebuilt around it. So this whole like, well, I don't want a new script. I just want you to look at it. If that's you, this is not for you because that's just not how it works. If it did, that would be great. I wish it worked that way. It doesn't. Or you're not willing to invest in the most important asset in your business. The script is what makes everything else work. The ads, the emails, the funnel. If you won't invest in the script, nothing downstream matters. And as you can see, we talked about earlier, it's not just the script, it's your whole brand. Number 3, you don't have an offer or you're not making money yet. Look, if you're a beginner, we actually have a brand new beginner program that we've launched. Look, just be upfront. You can apply. But be upfront with my team and we'll tell you more about that program. But we're not going to sell you anything that I've covered here because it's not for total beginners. We have something else for you. Just tell our team, be honest. We got you. Okay. One more thing. I'm going to zoom in on this. I have a no asshole policy. My team is small. I literally don't go to an office. I live here in Dubai. I chill. I go for walks. I hang out with my wife. Like I don't have this big corporate lifestyle. My mastermind is intimate. I spend real time with these people every week. Life's too short to work with people who drain the room. If you're a good human who wants to work hard and you respect other people's time, you're my person. If you're not, we're not a fit. And I'll tell you with that, we can part ways on 0 hard feelings. I want a group of people who are ready to get it, okay? Not argue, not bring bad energy to the room. So here's the deal. Our done for you capacity, we take on roughly 10 clients at a time. Right now, we're working on 6 scripts. This is what we have available right now. We don't outsource. We don't use templates. Each project gets dedicated time from our team. We physically cannot take on more than 10 at once. When these fill, the next opening is 4 to 6 weeks out. And most of the time we have a waiting list. The mastermind. So I'm going to show you inside the mastermind. This is actually we host the, like the group on School. There's 82 members. 7 of them are admins. We generally like to have right around 80 members. Currently, any more than that, I don't like to have more than that. Okay. I like my calls a certain length. I like to work with a certain amount of people. This is what I like. So currently we have about 5 spots. So we have 75 actual members because we have 7 admins in here. So I got about 5 spots for the mastermind. When they fill up, they fill up. I don't stress getting people into that. I like nerding out every week with my people. Okay. So when it's full, it's full. We do have 5 spots currently right now. And this is not, again, I like to show you, this is not fake scarcity. Here it is. This is the group. Okay. So, there's 3 reasons to move quickly. I'll give you the link. Number 1, The spots are real. They're done for you. We take 10 at a time. 4 is open right now. Mastermind, we have 5 spots left currently. Both fill. We don't run ads for that. They fill organically. When they're gone, sometimes it's weeks, months until we bring somebody in. Number 2, your competitors might have been in the room tonight. They saw the frameworks. They scored the same failures. The advantage goes to whoever implements first. Remember, the script is the business, and right now, everyone in this room knows that fact. Number 3, every week you run your current script is a week of lost conversions. If your webinar is even 2% below potential on, say, 500 attendees a month on a 3K offer, that's $30,000 a month sitting on the table. And that's way more than what we ask. The cost of waiting isn't zero. It's whatever your script is leaving behind. So a couple of examples before I give you the link. People who said yes. Andy Stickle. This was a while ago. He was in my mastermind right there. Okay. Here's what happens. And that right now, this guy, this was a very old screenshot. Today, with presentations, this guy makes $2.5 to $3 million a month with a lawyer marketing firm. Some of you may have heard of him. This was before he was a big name. He started with me. He was in my mastermind for 4 years. Bruce here was, again, an older client. I showed you his testimonial earlier. Made 10 grand a month selling how to do music. Ashley, we just wrote her webinar. She just did it, sold her first $8,000 offer from a live Webby. Kyle, he did a paid presentation, ran my own 5-day challenge, 113,000 challenge reference. What is it? Yeah, $400,000 cash collected with a paid presentation. That's where you want to make real money. You do paid presentations. That's where it and you get great clients, amazing clients. This right here, again, I showed you this before. This was Lewis, 13% conversion rate on his webinar we wrote for him. Here's the deal. If you guys apply, I'm about to give you the link. If you apply and you'd make a decision within 24 hours from now, I don't like to have these long drawn out follow-up things. I'll add this. Once you have your script and you perform your first webinar with our script, I will personally watch a portion of your recording. Send me the recording. I will watch it and I will send you a Loom video with specific feedback on your delivery, your stage presence, and exactly where to tighten up to increase your conversions. Me. This isn't generic advice. It's me watching you and telling you precisely what to fix and what's already working. I did a couple of these. I charged $10,000 for them, and then I stopped doing them because I didn't want to make that my main business, and that's what everybody wanted. So I'm giving it as a bonus just for you guys today. If you apply and you make a decision within 24 hours from now, I will add this. If it's over 24 hours, I won't because I got stuff to do. This takes time. Okay. This is application only. The application takes 2 minutes. It tells my team about your business, your offer, and where you are right now. We'll review every single one. If we think you're a fit, we'll reach out. If we don't think we can help you right now, we'll tell you honestly and point you to the next step. We do turn people away. I'm not going to lie to you. We do. But most of you guys from the chat, I think you're my people. I like today. I like hanging out with you, chatting with you. So I think it'll be a good experience. Here's your next step. Go to getclients.com/chat. Fill out an application, and we're going to reach out to you nearly immediately. Ben on my team is going to reach out to you almost immediately, okay? You'll get, if you make a decision within 24 hours, you'll get priority onboarding and my personal webinar review once you do our script. I want to be clear. You're going to apply. You'll get a text from Ben. Please answer it because we're only doing this for the next 24 hours, mainly because we only have a certain amount of spots to fill. They're very low, and I don't need more than that. So I love people who make decisions quickly. I've always, my entire 13-year career, literally, the best clients were the ones that hopped in immediately. They got the best results. They were the most coachable. So I have learned to give only 24 hours simply because I want the best clients. I want to nerd out with you guys, okay? And you got to be a nerd like me. So go there. Patrick says, Ben sent me here. Can I reach out to him directly or do you still need to apply? If you have his number already, just reach out to him. It's fine. And tell him you're interested. And then he'll talk you through each one. If you guys apply, please drop in the chat or you intend to apply. Just drop in the chat the word applied. Okay? No problem, Patrick. All good. So if you're still on the fence, you don't have to decide right now. I want you to just start the conversation. The application takes 2 minutes. And even if we don't work together, you'll walk away knowing exactly what your webinar needs, because you'll see, hey, look, this is because you're going to get a recording of this. You'll still walk away knowing what it needs. If you want us to do it for you, that's the conversation. The worst thing you can do is leave the room knowing your script needs work, knowing the script is the business, and do nothing about it. You're more than welcome to try to do this on your own, but I always say I make content for two types of people. Number one, the type of people who want to wait in line to achieve their dreams. That's fine. I do low ticket products, I do YouTube channel, etc. The second type of person is the person willing to invest in a fast pass to skip the line. For those people, we have our premium programs where I work with you or my team works with you to skip that line. So Timur says applying. Congratulations, Timur, for applying. Please tell me what drove you to apply. What drove you to apply? Olgu, if you want to apply, we'll break down the details of each offer. And again, we do have 0% interest. I don't charge interest. I don't have any programs where we charge interest. We might have a pay plan. You might save money doing a full pay, but as far as interest, I don't have that. So I only work with financing programs that have 0% interest. So we do have those options. Andrew says, I paid for the review from the funnel. So that review is for your existing webinar. If you join, I'll give you another review for the one we write for you. All good, no problem. Boom. Okay. So script is the business. Let's build yours. I'm going to take questions or concerns or anything you guys want to ask about what I covered tonight or about the offer. I see there's already been some questions about the offer. Happy to answer any questions. So Q&A time is right now. Again, either the offer or the stuff I've covered tonight. Timur says, what pushed me? Saving me time to figuring out these small bugs and the cost loss due to those bugs. That's one of the biggest reasons people do the done for you is because, guys, this is amazing stuff. I've made it my life's work to understand this stuff. It's what I do best. And I'm sure whatever you do best is what you do best, and I'm not good at it. So we do what we do best so that you have the time and space to do what you do best. That's why we have this offer. And also because I just happen to know that this is the single most important thing in you, if you're in this business, is the script. Cherry, do you have a magic bullet to get out of the teacher brain? Well, if we write your webinar, we'll get you out of the, you read the words that we give you, you won't be in the teacher brain. The biggest thing I can say though, is just try, look, when you teach somebody how to do stuff, you have to teach them what to do. You have to teach them why they're doing it. You have to teach them when to do it, and then you teach them how to do it. So just stop at the how, because nobody's going to want to know how if they don't know what, why, and when. So you just stop there. Anna, context, I sell teaching. Let me bring this chat up here. I sell teaching English plus coaching in confident communication to Russian-speaking immigrants, okay? Do I need to have a warm-up webinars and then do most of the selling webinar? No. Your content, your ads, your stuff that you put out on your socials, that's warm-up. Your webinar, that's where the sale is made. And it warms them up from the moment they get on all the way to the close. Remember that $9.2 million webinar, that was cold traffic. What is the biggest you've seen someone scale to with this strategy? So I can't tell you the name. If you guys have been following me and watching me do closes and speak at events, you'll know who it is. But I consulted on a offer. We did 2 challenges. One had one big idea, and then the second one, they did a completely different one. The first one made 16 million. The second one made 10 million. And I did mention, because what happened was the first one had a really good big idea. Then they tried to beat it, and the big idea they had for the second one wasn't as good. And I said that, and they were like, well, we're going to try. I'm like, okay. They did 10 million instead of 16. So they did 26 million. I consulted and closed on it. And then there was another writer as well. So that's probably the biggest that I've been involved in. Obviously, the examples I gave today, like Stansbury, that did 25 million a year, that's bigger, but that I've been involved in, that's the biggest. Do we have to apply in order to receive the recording slides you mentioned? No, I will send, you guys will get a login within 24 hours ish to the recording that you're watching, the recording of this training. You'll get these slides. So all these slides you see here, I'm going to upload these and you'll get to see them. And you can click through them just like I did. And the third thing you're going to get is the recording of the 30-day agency webinar. Just give us 24 hours to get that all square and we'll send it out to you. Renee, I just answered your question because same question. Let's see. Would it be worth taking a 5-day challenge paid and make that a paid webinar that offers the same product the challenge does? So if you're going to pair a webinar with a paid webinar, what I would do is I would use a free webinar to sell a ticket to the paid webinar, whether that's a challenge or a workshop like this. I did not do that for this one just because I used a VSL instead and it converted really good. We recorded 3 VSLs. We tested them, and the one that you see today, the one that so let's see, we got 142 sales. Let me just refresh this real quick. I'll show you here. Yeah, so you can see here 1.72 conversion, 1.41, 3.79. The winning VSL is this one. And what's funny is this is the one where I kind of went off the top of my head with bullet points. It was just a bit more natural and same big idea and all that. And this one did, this one won. So I did test 3 VSLs. Should I be doing webinars for a $97 subscription service or just lead magnet to close? We have a $97 a month SaaS, and I just do a VSL for that, and it converts really well. So probably VSL. A webinar I would charge more. It's just a waste for 97 bucks. I need this. So Luisa says, I need this, but I'm still building other parts of my business and in a process of forming a team. Will there be an opportunity in a month? Well, the way I think about it is the script is the business. So everything you do, your marketing strategy, everything ends up going to this webinar. So when I started, my first year I did 2.9 million with that. So that 30-day agency webinar did 9.2 million, but the first year it did 2.9. I had no employees, just the script. So I later hired employees just to make my life easier, but I never hired employees to make money or because I needed them. So like for me, because I learned presentations, I never needed a team to make money. I could literally just go on Zoom and talk and make money. And that's what I did my first year in business. I had no team, nobody. The first person I hired was an assistant to book doctor's appointments for me and just do stuff I didn't want to do. I still, with the exception of one guy who, because I just don't want to chat anymore, the whole field applications, everyone on my team is doing stuff for me that I don't want to do. Nobody's selling. Nobody's getting on and doing webinars. Nobody, like when I do my paid challenges, I just go like, or like, for instance, our $2,000 webinar, it goes right to an order page. So like everybody on my team is helping support the infrastructure of the business that I've built from the script. So for me, I would say that's the first thing that needs to happen, because you got to have, you're hiring a team to support something. Well, what are they supporting? If you have a script that's pumping out sales, now they have something to support, right? So to the question, will it be available in a month? I don't know, because we did a challenge in December, I did 800 grand in a day. We filled the mastermind out and a bunch of I didn't do anything for months. I sold other stuff, but for these offers, I didn't do anything because it was full. So I can't answer that. I don't know. Depends on how many people get in today. It depends on a lot of things. I hope so. But I would highly recommend you consider making this the basis of your business. Who's better, me or Jason Flanagan? It depends. I've worked with Jason multiple times on launches. We're not better. He's different. Different for selling high ticket though. I mean, come on. Like, I love Jason, but I think high ticket, I'm the king. I think so. um, he's awesome though. He's great. Um, what's the ideal length for a free webinar? The ideal length is not the length of the webinar, it's the length until the pitch. I like to hit the pitch on a free webinar by minute 50-ish. Then you can go on for 3 hours. It doesn't matter. It's not length of the webinar, it's length until the pitch. Johnny applied. Amazing. Johnny, tell me why you applied. What drove you to apply? Dan, how would you deal with an unaware market? Like I have people in my market, mainly GCC, Middle East, have prospects with 100. So your big idea has to be something that makes sense to your audience. So if I would have done the become a modern day Don Draper to existing ad agencies that were making 50 grand a month, they would tell me I was like, bro, what is this, right? Because it's dumb to them. But to somebody who's never run an ad before, it's like, whoa. So your big idea has to match your audience. So you got to know who you're going after. So an unaware market, so 30-Day Agency went after an unaware market. This webinar you're on right now, goes after a very aware market, a solution-aware market. So it's more about what big idea will make sense to whatever market I'm going after. Let me see. How many? Oh, we got a lot of questions. Okay. Can you teach us how you're using Claude Code? So all of these slides that I built in Claude Code, which is so cool. I'll never use anything else again. Happy to cover. I cover all kinds of stuff like this in my mastermind. Like sometimes I'll do stuff like this. I'll make a skill file. Or I'll just give it to my mastermind members. It took me a while to learn it, but essentially, once you have yourself a nice little skill file, you write your presentation and then you just kind of say, make me slides, and then you just edit them. Yeah, I don't like this slide. I don't like that slide. Put a picture here, and it just does it. It's awesome. Do you recommend to break down a high ticket offer from a small entry $997 and upsell them to the full price $6K? You can do that. You can absolutely do that. That works. How do you see coaching offers change with this AI world? I do not agree that coaching will die because of AI, because people are people. They want the validation, the approval, and the connection of humans. They will not get that from AI. I just don't. The core human behavior will not change. What software should we use to create slides? Well, these days I use Claude Cowork to create them. It's pretty cool. How can I figure out my big idea is too radical? I'm a real estate broker and my pitch is to provide coaching to buyer sellers to learn how to avoid expensive mistakes, be an elite pro buyer seller regardless of the realtor they hire. Yeah, man, it's hard to come up with especially a big idea just from that. Like we usually do a really in-depth process of asking questions, which lead us, there it is. That's the big idea. Okay. Yeah, that's a hard one. Ben says, can I just record my first webinar and attach it to lead magnets, or do I need to do it several times before evergreen? Once your webinar converts really well live, I would say evergreen, because it'll make you more money evergreen, because it just always runs. Do you recommend, let me see. How long was my VSL for this one? I think it was 7 minutes. I don't remember. I think it was 7 minutes. Johnny says he applied because simple, all this makes sense. I'm a former teacher, still doing too much teaching after 20 years in the business. I get it. I get it. Let's see. I run a sales agency targeting info product owners doing 20 grand a month. We provide top sales talent and charge percentage of revenue. I want a 10 to front end offer to attract them. My ICP thinks they have a lead problem, so I'm leaning towards something around that. Also need a strong one-liner for positioning like script is the business. Yeah. You can get them in the door with a webinar that is framed as something they care about and then show them the real root of the problem. And then, yeah, and once you do that and you have that big idea, that one repeatable line, it'll crush. But that's the process. Most of what happens in a webinar is reframing what they think. Okay. Give me a second here. Let me move my Q. We got Q&A too. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Let me look at the Q&A here. Do you recommend evergreen webinars or live? It depends. It depends. Like this one, I sometimes I'll do it live if I only need to get a few clients. If I want to scale something, I'll do it evergreen. It just depends. Our personal brand webinar runs evergreen and converts really well. That's more about my goals for the offer, not so much about what converts better, to be quite honest with you. When would you say the price? Only if it's $2,000 to $2,500 max, right about 50 minutes. So Zubin says, I know you're answering questions about the offer, but if you have a moment, I'd like to go back to some of the nerding out. Cool. I'm selling an education program, but it does not belong to me. High ticket affiliate. Okay. There's no guarantee, just a 7-day right of rescission clause. How do I address that in terms of the structures you just gone over? So in the offer, the guarantee doesn't have to be money back. It can just be something. Like, for instance, we guarantee that your webinar script will convert, or we keep rewriting it until it does. And our webinar scripts convert, so I don't worry about it. But you'd have to go into what they offer. There's got to be something, right? I would ask them, like, what are there any guarantees? Are there anything they fix if it's broken, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't have to be a money back guarantee. So far, we've had 8 applications, okay? 8 applications. So if you guys want to get in, I would go ahead and apply. Look, it's free to apply. So I would say if you're interested, everybody should apply. It's free to apply. Have a chat. 9 applications. Oh, okay. Congrats. If you've applied, let me know in the chat and tell me what drove you to apply. Timmer's a slow typer. That's okay. Can we do a $10,000 offer and close in the webinar with that application? You can. I have a couple clients that do, but it really has to be a no-brainer offer. So one thing I always say about that is if the offer requires it, so I have one guy, he goes to $12,000 straight to an order page and he converts really well. And I worked with him on his webinars, but his offer is an auto trading bot. So it's like very easy for them to get results. Whereas I have another client who does banger numbers, but he goes to an application. Why? Because he sells marriage coaching. Marriage coaching, there's an inherent feeling of, ooh, this may or may not work because it's my marriage. Whereas press this button, make money. You know what I'm saying? So it's less, I've learned that it's less about the price and more about how certain are they that they'll get results. And so, for instance, one time I sold a $30,000 offer. I made $1 million in a day, and I did tell the price. But that's because we did a 6-hour event. People had already bought stuff from me. They were very warm, and they were just very, like, they knew they were going to get results because they had already got results with my stuff. And so I didn't mind, I literally said, I even asked for a $2,000 deposit, and we did $1,024,000. Aaron applied. Awesome. I'm all in on webinars this year. This is my current focus, and I fully believe you're the best. Thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate that. I try to be the best because we've all got to be the best at something, and this is the thing that I have the most skills with, and I love it, and I nerd out on it, and I hope when I die, everybody agrees with you, Aaron. Um, Mike says this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Keats applied. Great. Doing live free seminars for prospects for a free strategy session to close a high ticket offer I need to move to the 21st century. Keats, not only, yes, you can do a webinar, but you can actually take the same presentation that we help build for you and do it in person. I mean, when I speak on stage, it's all like everything I just taught you is the same. Like it's all the same. Louisa says, I've watched and read everything you've ever produced. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know Dan since maybe 2018-ish, since Russell's Inner Circle days. Enjoys it. Thank you, man. Thank you. Okay, so there's probably a few more questions that got lost a little bit. Let me say this. One thing that I've learned, have you guys ever, maybe you've seen it online. Have you ever heard about that? What was he? He was a violinist, I believe. He was going to New York City, very famous violinist, really famous violinist. And I'm talking like world-class violinist. That's right, Joshua Bell. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Will. Joshua Bell. He goes to New York. The next day, he's supposed to play a huge concert hall. He's just one of these kind of guys. He goes down to the subway and he busks. He puts his case out. He starts playing. In 4 hours, he had a couple people stop. I think maybe one person clapped, and he made like $20. The next day, he goes and plays at a prestigious New York concert hall. 1,000 people attend. They all pay $100 each, and he gets a standing ovation. Same violinist, same violin, same performance. The principle here is that extraordinary people can only thrive in extraordinary environments. And the truth is that I believe most of you, especially everybody on right now, I mean, you guys have been here for what? 3 hours now. You nerded out with me on this stuff. I believe that you are all extraordinary people. I just believe that you may not be in an extraordinary environment. So I want to give you the opportunity, and yeah, there's an investment, but I remember when I was getting into rooms, I made the investment. I got into rooms, I got into masterminds, and I was able to get into extraordinary environments because I believed I was an extraordinary person, but I did not have the system to support the people around me to bring that out of me. And so when I started getting in these rooms, that is when things turned around for me and where I really excelled to the next level of myself. And I became more than just somebody that sells an online course. I became a respected person in the industry, a presenter, a thought leader, and it changed my life. And what's really cool is today I have the guys that inspired me to get started, like Russell Brunson, like Dan Kennedy. They've hired me to do presentations for them. I've achieved that level of mastery, and that feels good to be able to, go to my grave and know I did something great. And I know that you guys want to do something great. So I want to give you an opportunity, not just to learn from me and my team, but to be in that room, to be in that extraordinary environment so that we can help bring that extraordinary version of you out and you can be the best that you can be, period. And so if you feel that this is the key, that you are just one pitch away from a completely different life, and everything I said today resonates with you, I would love you in that room. I would love to nerd out with you every week. I would love to be a part of your success story like I've been a part of so many people's success story. And so that's why I believe you should apply and have a chat and let's see. Because, for instance, This guy right here, when he started with me, he could barely sell a $2,000 course. I worked with him for 4 years, and the guy makes, like, do you guys know who this is? Andy Stickle. He's a huge name now, massive name, massive. His company's worth 100. He came, I'll tell you a quick story and then I'll answer some more questions. He came to me one day, new in the mastermind, and he said, Dan, I have a $2,000 offer. I want to raise it to $5,000. What do I do? And I did this little prank on him. I said, okay, Andy, I want you to take a piece of paper and a pen. You got a piece of paper and a pen? And he said, yeah. I said, I want you to write this down. And he goes, okay, I got it. I said, okay, when's your next sales call? He says, it's in like the next 20 minutes. I actually got to go soon. I said, okay, great. When you get to the part where you give the price, here's what I want you to do. You got a pen? And it's like, yeah, I got a pen. It's like, say 5,000 instead of 2,000. And he's like, that's it. I'm like, bro, you're doing everything right. You're just not asking your worth. He says, okay. He jumps back on the call before because I think the call was like 2.5 hours. He jumps back on the call. He had done the sales call and come back on the mastermind call. He says, Dan, he said, yes, I got the $5,000 sale. Now, here's what's really messed up. Here's what's really going to blow your minds. Today, he sells basically that same offer. He made some few modifications. It was just a marketing service for lawyers for $75,000. And he sells it through paid presentations. And he does $2.5 to $3 million a month. And he's one of the most respected names in the legal marketing industry, probably the most respected. And it all started here, where he's super excited about, look at this. He joined and he made $74,000 that next month. And now he does 2.5. Just think about that. I want you guys to have a journey like this. I want to be, and I ended up having dinner with him years later, just reminiscing about that journey. I want to have that dinner with you. Max says applying. Great, awesome, amazing, Max, amazing. Let me know what drove you to apply. Okay. Carlos says, can confirm I was there. Yep. AT applied. Want the opportunity to learn from the best. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Okay. So let's see if I have any questions I missed. Any questions I missed? And don't forget, guys, if you apply and you make a decision within 24 hours, I will personally review your first webinar, the portion of it. And I'll send you a video and I'll go over it. Okay. Mark says, what do you recommend for getting started if you have an offer but still building a list or following? Run webinar. But so for me, I literally ran how I built my audience? I ran ads to a webinar. I sold shit. And I built an audience from people who registered for the webinar. That is literally why Russell Brunson, was it Russell or somebody? I forget who it was, but they said, very famous line in marketing, that if you're making $1 per month from your email list, you're really good. Like $1 per email subscriber per month, you're rock solid. So that means if you have 1,000 people on your email list, 1,000, okay, 1,000 times 12, because $1 a month, 12 months, that's $12. So you should be making $12 a year from everybody on your email list. Okay. So that's so on 1,000 people, you should be making $12,000. Because I built my list from people that came to my presentation, so that was like one of the only ways you could get on my list. I was averaging $85 per webinar. $85 per email subscriber. 85. I told Russell about it and he was like, holy crap. He's like, how did you get 85? I said, bro, I just do webinars. And he laughed. He was like, yeah, makes sense. Guys, webinars are literally, webinars, sales presentations, paid webinar, whatever you want to call them, the most powerful thing in your business. So that's my suggestion, run webinars. What else we got here? Apply. Amy says she's applying. You help my brother blow up his business, and I know you can do the same for me. Awesome. Who's your brother? Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Have a chat. Have a chat with Ben. See what we can do for you. Oh, Bill Vaughn, of course. Oh, yes. Oh, we did. Yeah, his business really blew up. He made a lot of freaking money, like stupid money. I remember working with him. Great guy, great guy, great guy. It was the bookkeeping offer, right? Is the bookkeeping offer, if I'm correct? Yes, yes. I remember. Oh my gosh, I remember. We helped. That's right. We started with a book, and I helped him write his book. And he said, "Well, how do I write a paid webinar?" And I said, "See this book we just wrote? Say this." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Bro, that's what I just wrote for you." He did it, and they do multi seven figures a month. They really just amazing, amazing. Well, thank you, Amy. I would love to do the same for you. We'll try our best. Um, Ben says got Facebook ad account banned for no reason, never even used it. Well, if you never used it and it sticks around for a while, sometimes that happens. You just create a new one, or it could also be banned because you didn't add a payment um, method for a certain amount of time, whatever. I don't think it's a big deal. I think you can get another one. That sounds more like you didn't do anything wrong. You just let it be not used. Um, Okay, so my bladder is telling me I need to go soon. So I will answer a couple more questions. Um, how do we install the 7 emotional things? Sprinkle them in throughout the process or all at once? So I usually, when I build a webinar, I think of the big idea and the unique mechanism, and then I just start building from there, right? It's kind of like baking a cake, or yeah, it's like baking a cake. Like you start with the flour and the goo or whatever it's called, the dough, and then you bake it, you make it hard, and then you put the icing on it, and then you put the little sprinkles on it, and then you put So for me, the big idea and the unique mechanism is like the dough, and then all that other stuff is like. But see, you can't have a cake with no icing and sprinkles and this and that. It would be like who would eat that? Nobody's going to eat a cake with no freaking icing, right? So it needs to be done, but it starts with the dough. Like, are you making a chocolate cake? Are you making a vanilla cake? Are you making a red velvet cake? Okay. You got to decide what type of cake you're making first. That's the biggest decision you will make. It's easy to sprinkle once you know what you have. Okay, so Ben is telling me we have a lot of applications now. He is reaching out to you on WhatsApp and iMessage. Um, it's first come, first serve, guys. Remember, this is a high touch service. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Amazing, 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 amazing. So come to Gracie Tampa. When I will come by when I visit for sure. So let me end with this. If you look at all, like, I mean, man, so many examples. Tony Robbins, Steve Jobs, every year he did a presentation. Um, Tesla does a presentation every year. OxyClean, the presentation blew them from 10 million to 100 million. Presentations changed my life. You have to remember, guys, I was a normal, everyday person who delivered pizza for 7 years. I learned a basic skill that almost everybody in marketing at some point can easily acquire: how to run Facebook ads. And I took that skill and I monetized it. What made me $10 million from that skill was not the skill itself. There was tons of media buyers that had, like, let me just say this. There were a ton of professional media buyers who managed millions of dollars in ad spend, and they sold like Facebook ad courses, and I outsold them. Not because I was better than them at ads. I learned ads by running ads for my own restaurant and then running ads for clients like chiropractors and lawyers and beauty salons and real estate agents. So I would not, I thought I was good, but I would not say I had the experience, the status, or the managed ad spend nowhere near as some of these guys. But you know what I did have? I had a better script. I had a better script. And that script made me $10 million where they didn't make even a fraction of that. because the script is the business. You do not have to be the best. You do not have to be the most experienced. You do not have to be the most famous. But if you can say it the best, you will eventually become the best. Because I did not become the best by not selling stuff. I became the best by selling a lot of stuff, getting more experience, getting more reps, getting more mat time, as we would say in jiu-jitsu, and being able to develop my skills by actually doing it. And what most of you guys may not realize is that the act of growing your business is the act of gaining your skills, gaining your momentum, gaining your expertise so that you can become actually the best. It's very hard to become the best it's very hard to become a great fighter when nobody wants to fight you, when you're not getting fights. You know what I'm saying? It's just really hard. I have never found a more effective way to monetize what I do than sales presentations, whether that be webinars, whether that be paid webinars, whether that be speaking on stage. It like the people who make it in life are the best communicators. Presidents, how do they get elected presidents? They give great speeches. Okay. How do CEOs become CEOs? They say the right thing. Like how does the really unattractive guy get the hot girl? He says the right thing. You can have literally anything you want in life if you just know what to say. And that is why I have prioritized that skill over any other skill, because I know that even if I happen to lack in another area of life, if I just know what to say, I can get ahead. I can get the resources I need, the money I need to get good at those things. I can hire the team. I can, you know, the truth is, I'll tell you one quick story and then I'll go. When I was a kid, and yes, Zubin, yes, sure, one good script can erase every bad financial decision you've ever made. You're right, and I'll tell you this to prove it. When I was a kid, I had a friend, and he had the best mother ever. Best mother ever. And here's how I know this. They were poor. And even though they were poor, they would always invite me over. She would always give me food. And I remember one day she got a toothache. Something bad happened to her tooth. And sometimes when you have something go wrong with your teeth, it can get into your bloodstream. It got into her bloodstream and she ended up dying. Now, she did not die. She did not die because of the tooth infection. She died because it cost, I think, $2,000 to get it fixed, and she didn't have the money, and she let it go for months. She died over $2,000. Now, they say that money won't make you happy and this and that, and I agree. However, how many people do you know that have had major problems in their life that they could not solve because they simply did not have enough money? Years later, after I had become successful with webinars and all this, my mom ends up talking to me and she says, I got to tell you something. I said, what? She says, well, I didn't want to tell you, but I have an issue with my teeth. And I'm like, oh, I had trauma, right? Like, like as soon as she said that, I'm like, what's wrong? She says, well, I have this thing, and I don't know exactly how it compared to what the other lady had, but she told me this thing about she had this problem with her teeth, and it was going to cost $16,000 to fix. And she was afraid to tell me about it because she didn't have the money and it was too expensive. And I'm on the phone with her. And I'm on the phone with her, and I'm like, Mom, I'm like, 16 grand? She's like, I know it's too much. I said, no, Mom. I said, that's like, I make that, like, I make 10 times that off one webinar. What are you talking about? Go. I'll wire you the money right now. So I did. Fixed her tooth. Done. The reason I make money is because I know there are so many things in life. Money may not make you happy, but it sure as hell solves a lot of problem that makes you unhappy. And every time I do honestly hate it when people say that, because every time I have a major problem in my life that would cause me a lot of pain and suffering, or somebody I loved, a lot of pain and suffering, 9 times out of 10, it can be solved with money. I didn't make that rule. That's how life is. So I do everything I can to make sure that I can make enough money to solve those problems, to take care of the people I love and myself. And so what I love doing is working with people that are really good at what they do, but people just can't see it. And I promise you, one solid presentation, one solid script is the difference between being just a mediocre unknown and being one of the biggest in the industry. Do you know how many people know NLP? Millions. Yet Tony Robbins is the most famous life coach in the world, likely the only billionaire life coach. Why? Because he has good scripts. That's it. So with that said, I'm going to hop off. If you are interested in working with us, being part of the family, nerding out on this stuff so we can help you build an empire from saying the right words, building that script, and taking it to the next level, go to getclients.com/chat, have a chat with us, and let's go. Let's make it happen. I'd love to see you guys in. I'd love to work with you. And I'd love to have that dinner with you a few years from now, reminiscing over that empire that we helped you build. Okay? Love you guys so much. Congrats on being here. Congrats on completing this. 24 hours-ish, we'll get you the recording, we'll get you the slides, and we'll get you the recording of that $9.2 million webinar so that you can watch it. All right? Love you all. See you soon.